As many may have seen, the president visited Graceland after his Memphis Safe Task Force roundtable yesterday in Tennessee. Let's take a look at clip 1A.
Hello, everybody. We were here and we're touting how well it's done with the crime stats, and over a period of 5 months, it's way down, and we're proud of it. We're going to come back in 2 or 3 months, and we'll have a very one of the safest cities. So Memphis went through a terrible thing, and like in D.C., we're doing great, and every place we go, we're doing great, to be honest with you. So, Frank, I'd love to go to Chicago. I'd love to be invited to Chicago. We would get rid of crime in Chicago very easily, but the Democrats don't want to do that. I'd love to go to San Francisco. Would make it something. Would bring it back to where it was. And the mayor's working hard. He's a Democrat. He's working hard there, but we could do things that they just can't do. But every place we go, and Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. Most of them are down by 75% and more. And within 2 or 3 months, we'll have it down to over 90%. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that, right?
And everyone loves Elvis.
I love Elvis too. Elvis, you know, they all say, did you know Elvis? So I knew Frank Sinatra. I knew most of them. Unfortunately, I never met Elvis, and that would be one I would have liked a lot. But I do like his music, I will say. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming and visiting us.
And of course, if you watched our previous broadcast, airing a few of those videos, but a lot of new things happening over the past couple hours. So glad you're here with us as we monitor the latest in this 24/7 rapidly changing news cycle. All right, let's go to a few of our sponsors in the meantime. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. And we want to take a moment to tell you about one of our trusted partners and sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. If you're someone who believes in medical freedom, who supports the MAHA movement, and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and over 400 generic medications without the runaround. Right now, exclusively for RSBN viewers, you get this, 25% off your order with code RSBN25. So here's how it works. You go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You fill out a medical form. A licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. And with spring here, allergies, travel, uncertainty in the world right now is the time, of course, to be prepared. You can order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of American business we should be supporting. As you guys know, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use code RSBN25 for that 25% off. A great discount there with All Family Pharmacy. Another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to our next sponsor as we are continuing our live coverage, Birch Gold Group, as you guys see on your screen. And you can think about the fact of 2006, that $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would actually be worth $165,000. A lot of people, smart Americans out there, are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals, and that's why you might want to consider buying from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text Trump to the number you see there on your screen, 989898, to receive that free info kit on gold. And you have that A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. So you can let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Text Trump to 989898. Again, that's Trump to 989898. Meantime, as we get ready to go to Capitol Hill for some of the latest on the Save America Act and the partial government shutdown affecting DHS, which is really trickling to TSA as well, as you guys see with those airports out there, let's first return to Memphis, Tennessee, as the president had this to say about the Save America Act and the partial government shutdown.
So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell them. That would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're tying them together.
All right, so you saw that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network just yesterday as the president meeting out there in that roundtable for the Memphis Safe Task Force. Well, now, of course, the president back in Washington, D.C. We're going to see him at the Oval Office as he swears in the newly minted Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Markwayne Mullin. So that's happening at about 1:30 as we cover a number of stories live right here on Right Side. In the meantime, speaking of the Save America Act, let's travel to South Dakota. If anybody's watching out there in Rapid City or in other cities in South Dakota, thanks so much for doing so. Well, Scott Pressler was there recently, and I wonder what the citizens of John Thune's home state of South Dakota have to say about passing the Save America Act. Let's check out clip 3.
Senate Majority Leader Thune, we the people of South Dakota, especially here in Sioux Falls, we demand the Save America Act. Let's go!
You know, it's that kind of video that I could watch probably 25 times in a row because it's all about we the people. And that is what we're coming down to. It's a fork in the road right now for this Save America Act. We know that the people, all of us, want to see this done. A huge percentage if you look at the polls. I don't really reference polls a lot. I know that poll out there says 80 to 20, that 80% of people, including Democrat, citizens, are saying they want this. I really don't care about polls. Sorry, guys, I just don't. But the point is, what I care about is what the people are saying, whether it's on camera right there, on social media, in conservative media, and live interviews. And that's a great poll, if you like polls, to get. Every time we're out there live at those venues, when we hear President Trump speaking or at various conservative events, as you guys know, RSBN has always been there interviewing people, all of us out there. It's all about we the people, right? A government of, by, and for the people. So that's one of the best ways, I think, is to hear directly from you guys out there. So feedback at rsbn.tv. There's a good plug right there if you'd like to say a few things to us here at the network and just, share with us some of your thoughts about what needs to be done in the country. Of course, saving America is of top priority. And the Save America Act is one of the things that would really, really help out with keeping us with the Constitution as the law of the land. And that might sound dramatic. Oh, we're not going to lose the Constitution under another president that's on the left side of history. Will we? First of all, will we? Will we keep the law of the Constitution as the law of the land? Or will things go extreme left if we lose the House, the Senate, the presidency over the next, this year and over the next several years? So there's just a lot going on as it's really early to talk about the presidential election in 2028, but still, how about just getting our voting corrected to make sure that we have United States citizens voting in United States elections? I cannot believe it's still up for debate on Capitol Hill. It should not be up for debate to save America. So let's get this thing passed, as you guys saw there. So I'm basically indirectly, just like the people out there in South Dakota, part of we the people. This is not political activism. This is simply common sense. You want to have your country's citizens vote in your country's elections. Let's go to Capitol Hill with Utah Senator Mike Lee and Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. They have plenty to say about passing the Save America Act in clip 4.
President Trump has made clear that he thinks that we shouldn't recess and that we should stay here over the next 2 weeks to continue to debate the Save America Act until we get it passed, and to make sure that the Department of Homeland Security is funded. I stand behind that strongly. We have no business taking a recess right now with all of this happening. Now, regardless of what happens over the next few weeks, our message still needs to be the same. With respect to Save America, whether we're in session or whether even if they make the unfortunate decision, which I've strongly recommend against, of recessing, we've got to use either one as an opportunity to message, particularly to Democratic senators, any senators who are opposed to the Save America Act. We need to use this as an opportunity to make them explain what exactly it is about voter ID that they find so objectionable, or what it is about efforts to make sure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. Why do they find that so objectionable? Either way, our message has to be the same, and we can't let up, not even for a minute. I hope and stand by President Trump in saying we shouldn't recess, should keep this up. But even if they make the wrong decision on this, we've still got to keep that messaging up and insist that if they take that unfortunate step and continue with the recess, that we get right back to it and continue debating it until it is passed when we get back. Keep up the message and we'll win.
This simple piece of legislation focuses on two key ideas. That if you're an American citizen, which is required by law, you just show it. I call that the trust and verify portion of the bill. The 1965 Voting Rights Act begins with the statement, all citizens. It is already required under federal law that you have to be a citizen of the United States to vote. We've all agreed on that. There's no one disputing that. Republican, Democrat, Independent, we all agree American citizens are the ones that should decide the future of America. What we disagree on is, should we check? Or should we just trust that it actually is true? I've shared in this body before that in Oklahoma, we passed a statute several years ago saying that if you go to jury duty and you tell a judge, I'm not eligible to be able to serve on a jury because I'm not a citizen in the United States, in Oklahoma, we then check to see if you're registered to vote. And we found quite a few folks that tell a judge, I'm not a citizen, but told the election board, I want to vote anyway. Well, that's not illegal, but in Oklahoma, we purge the voter roll when that happens to be able to make sure those individuals that have already given sworn testimony they're not a citizen are not also registered to vote. That's not true everywhere across the country. Lots of folks just say, we just trust, but we never verify.
Well, it's time to verify. It's time to have a photo ID. It's time to have proof of citizenship when you register to vote in federal elections. It's time to not accept a bunch of mail-in ballots from all over the place unless it's medical, military, all the things. That's what we the people want. That's what we the people are demanding from the United States Senate. Hopefully this thing passes. I mean, this is what we want. It's simple as that. All right, so before we move on with some more coverage about the Save America Act, also, of course, the DHS shutdown when it comes to the partial government shutdown, you know, we're hoping that opens back up and the long lines that we're seeing at the airports, man, that would be, I'm glad that I'm not flying right now and watch me have to go somewhere or fly, you know, soon. But, you know, it's definitely several hours that we're seeing out there. Let's go to some of our sponsors, including Kalshi.com/RSBN. Now, there's a number of political events that people are betting, trading, or just checking out polls with Kalshi.com. And it's not just politics. There's a ton of topics on there. How about this? I'm checking it out as well here on Kalshi.com. When will traffic at the Strait of Hormuz return to normal? Before May 15th, 42% say that. Before June 1st, 61% say that. How about, will the Save America Act become law? You want to hear what people are saying on Kalshi? I don't want to report this, but it's what's being said. 90% say no, that the Save America Act will become law. 10% say yes. How about, when will DHS receive full year funding? And it says yes, 82%, and no, 18%. I'm confused by the question there a little bit. How about, will crypto market structure legislation become law? 55% say yes, 43% say before August. So you can check it all out there. I'm just checking it out on the fly here with you guys. So Kalshi.com/RSBN. Use the QR code or download the app. More than 1 million users on Kalshi. These are things that are trending right now in politics on that app. And there's other topics as well. Let's shift over to Spring, Texas, Lone Star State, angelpace.com. Use that RSBN promo code, 10% off. A lot of great products right there. Use the QR code as well if you just want to go directly to the site. And at checkout, if you use the RSBN promo code, you'll get that 10% off. And a shout out to the owners there at Angel Pace. Thanks so much for the shipment. My wife's checking out all of the different products that you guys sent. Said that she likes that exfoliating cream. I don't even know how to pronounce some of the words that are used in some of the skincare, but it is what it is. Angelpace.com. You guys can order as well if you're looking for a gift or just, into skincare. And I know a lot of people are. So angelpace.com is the place to go. Two great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Meantime, out there in Riverside County, California, if anybody's watching out there on the West Coast, I know Kate Monroe will be joining us in a bit. She's from California, and there's some other people that are from that state. We will be going there actually right now, as clip 5 reveals that Sheriff Chad Bianco is highlighting an investigation into mail-in ballots there in Riverside County. Let's take a look.
Hello, California. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and your next governor. Well. The political corruption in California just gets bigger and bigger. Our embarrassment to law enforcement, Attorney General Rob Bonta, just filed an emergency writ with the Court of Appeals to stop ballots from being counted in Riverside County. For those not aware, we are conducting an investigation into an alleged and potential 45,000 extra votes counted than the number of ballots cast in the November 2025 special election. So we are all clear. This isn't about counting yes and no votes. This is simply counting the total ballots and comparing that total with the number of votes reported by the Dominion machines. Plain and simple. Common sense. Not only did a Superior Court judge approve a warrant to obtain the ballots, but also issued a separate order to count them. Why in the world would Rob Bonta want that count stopped unless he was afraid of what that count would uncover? We have an extremely politically biased appeals court, so this is going to be interesting. What's it going to be? Let law enforcement count the ballots as part of a lawful investigation, or halt the investigation and sweep it under the rug? All California voters should be demanding transparency, not legal maneuvers and cover-ups. Stay tuned.
All right, so that's Chad Bianco running for governor in California, the sheriff of Riverside County. Great to see people of all levels of government talking about mail-in ballots and elections and that kind of thing. We also saw the Supreme Court speaking about mail-in ballots just the other day, so we'll see when those opinions are released in full. Before we go to some more of our live videos and recorded videos, of course, let's go to a live interview. Joining us now is a speaker and advocate and the creator of our amazing grace.net, Scott Shara. Thanks so much, Scott, for joining us on Right Side.
Well, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Can you talk to us about our amazing grace.net, what that is, and what you've been doing for the American people as of late?
Well, I'd be glad to talk about it. Our amazinggrace.net would have never been formed if my beautiful 19-year-old daughter, Grace, with Down syndrome, was still here. Her last day on Earth was October 13th of 2021. She died in a hospital that labeled her cause of death as COVID. Praise God, through his providence, we had the first lawsuit in the country, probably the only one that will ever go to jury trial, to prove that she did not die of COVID. She died of a med combination, Precedex, lorazepam, and morphine. And the doctor had put an illegal do not resuscitate order on her chart. So, that event is what woke me up. And what's happened, and you said, what are we doing now? What's happened is I have spent about 4,000 hours researching what happened to Grace and why did it happen? How did it happen? And ultimately just finished a book. It was released 2 weeks ago today called "Is the Government Legally Killing Us?" And what it is, it's a summary, Matthew, of 4,000 hours of research that I have put into a book form that is a fairly easy read. God has given me the gift of taking big concepts and summarizing them in simple terms so the common person can read this book and understand how the government has legally put in motion a series of laws. So that's why it says legally kills us. They put in motion a series of laws that are designed to hasten our death. So that's the big picture summary of the book and what I'm doing today.
And that's quite the claim there, specifically outside of just medical malpractice, a mistake, or purposely done from the medical professional. We know that that doesn't happen all the time. And first, our heartfelt condolences for your daughter, Grace. And I want to ask you some questions about her in just a minute. But back to the claims from the government. So are you saying there's something specifically within HHS or something that you've seen and you have receipts for? And obviously this is something that we'll have to, reach out to that department as well to get their reaction. But what are some of the receipts that you have?
Boy, would I love to get their reaction. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I brought the receipts in the book, and the receipts that are not physically in the book, I have as endnotes. So I'll just give you an example. So HHS was formed in 1980. After HHS was formed in 1984, the Chevron Doctrine gave departments and bureaucracies like HHS and the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services the ability to implement policy without congressional oversight. And so right now, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services controls healthcare for 99.99% of Americans. There's 135 million Americans on Medicare and Medicaid, so that's a block they directly control. The other 200 million Americans on Obamacare and private insurance, how they do this, I'm going to share an example with you so you can connect the dots as to how they do it. In 2018, I learned that I had heart disease. Once I started studying heart disease, I found out that the statin that they recommended was a lie. I should never take it. When I reported the results of my research to the doctor, he was very gracious, and that's a different piece of the story. But his nurse walked me out and said, "Scott, you have to take the statin." I said, "What are you talking about? Why do I have to take the statin?" She said, "Our Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates are based on the percentage of our patient population that follows the standard of care. And the standard of care for heart disease is the statin." I said, "I'm not on Medicare and Medicaid." She said, "Well, you didn't hear me. It's based on our whole patient population, not the subset that's on Medicare and Medicaid. And if you don't follow the standard of care, we have to fire you as a patient to keep our reimbursement rates up." So why am I so negative on the statin? Because the statin causes dementia. Ezekiel Emanuel in 1996 wrote, and he's the chief architect of Obamacare, he wrote that people on dementia, or not on, that have dementia, do not deserve medical care. And that is embedded in Obamacare Section 1553. So those are a few of the receipts. I'm just talking, with one story to connect some dots with receipts that I brought to the table.
And it's always good to see evidence and receipts to any claims that are out there as well. Let's talk about ouramazinggrace.net. I actually went to the website earlier and I saw a few stories about your daughter, Grace, and also that she loved Elvis. And interestingly enough, President Trump just visiting Graceland yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit about Grace's life? And she lived to 19 years old, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so my wife was showing me that this morning, his visit to Graceland. And we went to Graceland twice. The first time we went is because Grace fell in love with Elvis when my wife had a hip replacement. And so she was homebound for a few weeks. They started watching Elvis movies. Unbelievably, Grace wrote a letter to Priscilla Presley, Elvis's wife, care of Graceland. And Priscilla called Grace from Hollywood and said, she'd like to meet Grace. And, I was working at the time. Grace called me and said, "Dad, Priscilla Presley just called me." And so we drove to Graceland. We had a private meeting with Priscilla, and Grace and Priscilla became pen pals. In fact, taking it all the way to Grace's death, the morning after Grace died, I called Priscilla's assistant to let her know, and Priscilla called my wife instantly. and she sent roses to Grace's funeral. It was quite a beautiful situation. Anyway, Grace's life, zooming out to her whole life, it seemed like we had all those type of things tended to happen with Grace. She just had this way about her where she was an encouragement, and she just drew positive things towards her. And Priscilla Presley was one of those things.
Yeah, that's quite awesome. When someone goes to ouramazinggrace.net or maybe purchases your book, what's the overall message that you'd like to share with the people?
The overall message is very simple, and it's a message to not trust in men. The reason we got to this point in our country's history is we put our faith in men instead of God. And so my overall message in the book is one of repentance, to stop trusting systems that are designed by men and put our trust in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And then outside of that, and I agree with you to first put faith in God, faith in Jesus, but also within the framework of, in 2024 or in 2020 or in 2016, if we, the people, didn't go out there and vote, if we just only prayed, right, we still had to do our part. So how do you kind of see that balance there, that we still have something to do here on earth, and that there are people on the right side of history down here that are in some of these leadership positions? So how do you kind of navigate all of that as well?
That really is a great question. I wish people would ask that question more often. God will not do what we can do, and we can't do what God can do. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, to not speak is to speak, to not act is to act. So of course we should take action. And the action, once you repent, the actions seem to be fairly obvious. So actions, for example, of not obeying mandates, not obeying things that are against God's law. That's what we're called to do. We're called to be in the world, but not of the world. So things that are against what God would have us do. So, for example, in my book, I make the claim that Jesus was an anti-vaxxer. Well, why do I say that? I mean, it sounds kind of foolish to say something like that. And, I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's just because he did not need man's way to cure supposed diseases. He knew everything since the world began. So, we do not have to fall trap to this limited resources on the planet nonsense that keeps being sold to us by the globalists. And, that's where we can take a stand. And these hills, I'm often asked, is like masks, is masks a hill to die on? And the answer is yes, they're all hills to die on. Because if we're not willing to die on the little hill, how are we ever going to die on the big hill?
Well, at the end of the day, we know that we, the people, it's the whole don't tread on me. We don't want to be forced to do anything out of our own decision making, which is 100% the truth there. And then on top of that, we see in the New Testament that Luke was a doctor as well. So I'm not opposed to taking an Advil or an ibuprofen here and there. I know it's probably not the greatest to always be taking something like that, but and this is a conversation I'm sure can last for a long time. I'm sure people at home might be watching and having maybe some conversations about various medicines and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, to your point, nobody's going to mandate to us, we the people, that we have to wear a mask like that. Like, that was awful in 2020. We saw how that went down. This is something that may work in another country, but not in the United States of America. Scott Shara, a speaker and advocate and creator of the ouramazinggrace.net. Thank you again for spending time with us, and thank you again for sharing that about your daughter, Grace.
God bless you, Matthew. Thanks for having me.
You bet. God bless you. Bottom of the hour, 12:30, Tuesday, March 24th. Just various stories that we're covering here at the network, and always interesting to interview people, whether it's someone that's super well known at the White House or in the State Department, or someone running for Congress or Senate, or an author. Being a journalist, man, you just kind of go with all the different kinds of guests that you can get, really, when it comes to people that are on the right side of history or conservatives. And really speaking about freedom always as the main perspective. Let's go to some of our sponsors in the meantime before we get back into it when it comes to things like the Save America Act, and also a video from the White House when it comes to the newly minted Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Markwayne Mullin. We'll get to that in just a minute. So let's go to one of our sponsors here. I believe it's Cove Pure is next. So Cove Pure right there.com/RSBN. We're past all of that new year, new me stuff. Of course, that was back in January. So this is the part where we either forget about all of that or we make it easy enough that we actually follow through. And that's where Cove Pure comes in. Here's the thing. Most people tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, but then they completely ignore the most important basic thing. And you see it right there, water. Even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve. But that's where Cove Pure comes in, because they have that ClearWave technology certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. Pretty much anything that's not water, fluoride or the pharmaceutical residue, microplastic, plastics, PFAs. It's the purest water you can get. My favorite part about the whole thing is that there's no aftertaste. It's not tap water that you'll be drinking when it goes through that bad boy right there. So you can get it too if you'd like. CovePure.com/RSBN. Get that $250 off for a limited time if you use that link, CovePure.com/RSBN. Let's move on to our next sponsor here. It is All Family Pharmacy, and we want to take a moment to tell you more about our trusted sponsor, one of them right here, All Family Pharmacy. If you're someone who believes in medical freedom, who supports the MAHA movement, and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain, and they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, how about methylene blue, and over 400 generic medications without all of that runaround. Right now, exclusively for RSBN viewers, you can see it right there, 25% off RSBN 25. Here's how it works. You go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. After that, you fill out a medical form. A licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, your medication then ships directly to your door. And you guys can also stock up on medications when it comes to whether it's even ibuprofen or emergency kits that are out there that they have available at All Family Pharmacy. And with spring here now and allergies and travel, I'd hate to be in a TSA line, to be honest, right now. Uncertainty in the world. Right now is the time to be prepared. So you can order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of pharmacy and American business we should be supporting, and you can do that with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. As it's 12:34 Eastern Time, Matthew Alvarez, thanks again for live streaming in. Go ahead and follow us on Truth Social at RSBN if you'd like, or RSBN Network at RSBN Network at RSB Network on X. If you'd like to follow me on X, it's at Matthew US Media, and on Truth Social at Matthew Alvarez. Robert McNeely as well on Truth Social if you'd like to follow him, as we'll be seeing him this week as well. 12:34 Tuesday, March 24th. We just had that interview done there as we are checking out some of the latest headlines at this point. We know that at 1:30, we'll see the newly minted Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security be sworn in by the Commander-in-Chief himself, President Donald Trump. Let's take a look. Let me rewind here and try and speak clearly. Let's take a look at a recent White House video about Oklahoma's Markwayne Mullin.
It's the idea that a little kid from Westville, Oklahoma that grew up on a small ranch with no political background, no family history of politics, can get upset one day and just decide I'm going to run, and I get to serve in the United States Senate. It's humbling to me every time. And when I got to D.C., I can't tell you how uncomfortable it was. I was on the steps and I started praying, and I was like, Lord, why? Why would you put me in this position? And I just felt this peace come over me, and just like, listen, I didn't call you to be one of those guys. Just be you. The great thing about me in politics is that this isn't my livelihood, nor is it my career. This is something I get to do because I felt like the Lord was leading me down that road.
All right, so we'll see Oklahoma's Markwayne Mullin in the White House at the Oval Office in about less than an hour from now, and we'll see the President of the United States as well. Meantime, let's take a look at some more notable moments from the President's trip to Western Tennessee yesterday in clip 7.
That's the reason I'm here, to tell you how well you've done, how well we've done. We brought together 22 federal agencies, state and local police, and 1,500 members of the incredible National Guard to smash the grip of the violent criminals on this iconic American city. In total, we've arrested 7,000 criminals, seized more than 1,100 illegal guns, taken more than 1,000 pounds of illicit narcotics, and rescued more than 150 missing children, making their parents beyond happy.
Mr. President, the Memphis Safe Task Force underscores one simple truth. When federal, state, and local agencies work together as genuine partners, we can reclaim even the most troubled cities.
It was all of us, as Gaddy said, working hand in hand with my FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, ATF, with all of my agencies working hand in hand with the National Guard. Know this, Donald Trump and this administration, we have your backs.
All right, and also monitoring some videos that are out there at various airports from Houston to DC and Atlanta. Obviously, quite packed when it comes to those TSA lines. I've never seen the lines go that long. And also, you're talking 6 hours in some cases. And I think I read 8 hours. There was a passenger that I think that had to stay overnight at the airport just to get into the TSA checkpoint. This is unprecedented when it comes to our air travel. And hopefully the Department of Homeland Security, which is partly, obviously, the umbrella above the Transportation Security Administration, gets fully funded. And why not, while you're at it, when that gets taken care of, pass the Save America Act? Let's shift gears and talk about NASA quickly. The NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman announced plans earlier to build a permanent U.S. base on the moon. Check out clip 8.
Despite some of the very real hardware and schedule challenges, we can repurpose equipment and international partner commitments to support surface and other program objectives. It's worth pointing out that shifting NASA workforce priority to the surface, which has lots of advantages for safety, tech demonstration, and science, it's really the proving ground for future Mars initiatives, does not preclude revisiting the orbital outpost in the future. We will build the moon base in 3 phases. Phase 1 endeavors to support industry by moving from infrequent, bespoke efforts to a templated approach that will generate significant learning through experimentation. We will dramatically expand lunar landings through the CLIPS and the LTV program, delivering rovers, instruments, and technology payloads that test mobility, power systems, such as working with international partners and industry on the production of RUs and RTGs, communications, navigation, surface operations, and all the science payload that can be incorporated. Phase 2 transitions from experimentation to semi-habitable infrastructure and routine logistics with the aim of supporting regular astronaut operations on the surface. It's at this point we anticipate seeing the significant contributions from our great partners like JAXA's pressurized rover. Phase 3 takes advantage of the affordable mass-to-surface capabilities that cargo HLS will inevitably provide in the years ahead and enables the permanent infrastructure necessary to sustain a human presence, such as Italy's proposed habitation module. The moon base will not appear overnight. We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan. Just as there was Mercury and Gemini before Apollo, there will be an evolutionary path to building humanity's first permanent surface outpost beyond Earth. And we will take the world along with us as they follow along on the NASA Moonbase website and watch the assembly through lunar relay and observation satellites.
Pretty cool developments there with NASA. And we had Bethany Stevens, the NASA, I believe a senior advisor and also a spokesperson, join us just a couple weeks ago. So it'll be great to have Bethany back here on the program to give us an update on Artemis 2. For those of you that are following all of that when it comes to SpaceX and NASA, it'll be pretty cool to watch that. It's fascinating stuff out there. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors as we get ready to talk about the Department of Agriculture, as there is a new video out there as well. So let's go to kalshi.com/RSBN. There's a lot of topics, whether it's politics or faith or music or movies or weather. I mean, all sorts of topics that people are betting, trading, and just checking out polls. You can do that too. kalshi.com/RSBN. You've got the QR code right there. You can download the app if you'd like. A lot of people talking about trending topics right now that are specifically within the political section of Kalshi.com, including when will the DHS partial government shutdown end? People just putting money on the line for all of these various topics, but also a lot of people checking out the polls as well, even if you're not betting. So Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's also go to Rumble Wallet. Rumble Wallet. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship back, and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff that they want us to see. So we could fight back in the information area and the financial arena. And Rumble is one of the only companies that has really stood a test of time and deserves our support, because on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship. On the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. As some of you may know, banks could cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. So Rumble said, you know what, we're going to launch something called Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that no one can cancel, a wallet that supporters can use instantly to tip creators like us without any middleman taking the cuts. And we're told that it's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators. There will be no fees when you tip our channel and others out there. So what you can do is download the Rumble wallet today, open an account, and step away from the big banks for good. You can go to wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. Great company right there, Rumble. Thanks so much for watching on Rumble as well. Here on Right Side, it's 12:42, Tuesday, March 24th. Thanks so much for watching on various platforms out there, but definitely glad to have you guys from Rumble as well. All right, let's do this. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
And right now you see that 10% off, but also the RSBN 25 promo code, 25% off right now for all family pharmacy. We'll speak about them in just a little bit. Earlier today, I caught up with the Senior Director of TPUSA Rise, Pierre Wilson. Check it out. And joining us now is the Senior Director of TPUSA Rise and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us right now. Thanks so much, Pierre, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about what TPUSA Rise is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start with the fact that we are the largest minority conservative movement in the country. We have the largest grassroots operation. We built something really special, and I'll start really quickly with just a brief piece of my story, because I think my story is so many people's story within TPUSA Rise. I was a former liberal. I marched with BLM at one point. I believed the lies that America wasn't for me because I was Black. And that's so many individuals within TPUSA Rise. And we found that this has been the case with Hispanics. Obviously we reach into Asian communities. There's a toxic culture that I think the liberal left has pushed onto minority communities in an effort to control that voting bloc. We're breaking those chains, we're breaking up that echo chamber. We're bringing an alternative perspective, and it's helped us grow into the largest minority conservative grassroots movement in the country.
It's awesome to see that, and it's great to tackle the mainstream media's lies that are out there using TPUSA Rise and just having conservative media as a whole. So what is that like to really go against that narrative of wokeism.
Well, I've been doing it for a while now, so for me, I'm used to all the hate that comes with it because I'll tell people who are just beginning their journey, it's not an easy one. I've been there. I understand what it feels like in the very beginning when you start to speak out about your conservative values, especially as a minority in this country today. They see you as a traitor to your race and they start calling you all sorts of names. And, you may have family members and friends that you have been close to for years turn against you, but you have to be willing to stand for what you believe in. And again, I've been doing it for a while, so I'm used to the backlash, and I've obviously met some really great people on my journey. I always say I really didn't lose anybody. I gained, a new group of friends, new people I consider family. But yeah, for people who are beginning the journey, it's not easy, but you do have to remember that what you're doing and what you're fighting for, if it matters, if it truly matters, it's never going to be easy, but it is worth it.
100%. So specifically, can you take us back again to your story? What was that specific moment that you said, you know what, this is not for me on the left side of history. I got to get on the right side of history.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tell my wife all the time because I get this question often where someone will ask me, hey, what was the moment you became conservative? And my answer to them is always that I've been conservative. I just now realized it, right? I realized it because conservative to me is really the values, what you believe in. And I realized once I had that moment, which was really a combination of a couple different things throughout my life. But the key moment was really me being up late one night, watching some YouTube videos and coming across some conservative influencers. And I remember people like Dr. Carol Swain, and I heard from Thomas Sowell on there. These are people I really hadn't followed previously before. And they were saying things in a way and from a perspective that I'd never heard before. And I thought they were lying. I was like, absolutely, this stuff is not true. This has to be fake. This is terrible that they're spreading this misinformation, and I'm writing these things down that they're saying because I was like, I'm going to fact check them. I don't know what I was going to accomplish with that fact check because I didn't know them. It wasn't like I was going to be able to tell them, but it was going to make me feel good about myself to know that they were wrong. But when I went down that rabbit hole, I realized really quickly that they were actually correct. The things that they were saying were right. And, black on black crime, the way the government has gotten, the black community dependent on them, the welfare system, single motherhood rate, just certain things that were just, again, shared from a perspective I never heard. That really woke me up to realize that I agree with many conservative values, right? I'm not a fan of high taxes. Like, I like limited government. I think police matter in our community. I want secure borders. Like, I believe that a baby's life in the womb matters. Like, there's just so many different things that I was like, man, I agree with these things, So I realized that I had really been emotionally manipulated. As a man, I know it's terrible to say, but that's just the truth. A lot of minority Americans are taught to vote based off of emotion. Like, you need to hate them because they're out to get you, but not really to think from a logical perspective.
That is so true. It's so refreshing to hear this because I think it really encourages people that are out there that are speaking about conservatism. I mean, you are a living testament to watching something online and look at what you're doing now. You're a senior director at tvOS Rise. I mean, that is pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's amazing, and I wouldn't be here today, obviously, if it wasn't for people like Charlie. I feel it in my heart to always bring him up whenever I speak because he believed in me too, and he believed in what we were doing. And the moment we joined TPUSA, we blew up. Like, we were doing well before we merged with them roughly in 2023, and he poured more resources, more support into what we were doing, and that's how we ended up becoming the largest group of our kind. So really, thankful for people like Charlie Kirk and the entire TPUSA family for why I'm here today.
100%. And then also, were you at that memorial on September 21st in Glendale, Arizona last year?
So I did not personally go to the memorial. My youngest had his birthday that exact same weekend, and it broke my heart, obviously, to not be able to go. But Charlie and I were very close. I was one of the few in the company that reported directly to him. So we text often. We had a relationship, and I miss him every day, man. But Erica's doing an incredible job. Her leadership is strong. So we're in good hands, but certainly we all miss Charlie.
Yeah, 100%. What a powerful memorial that was, that millions and millions of people saw. I know you watched it as well, and just the power of God moving throughout that stadium. And to know that this is something that Charlie, I'm sure, would have been very, very happy about, to see all of these people and the impact. Can you believe that global impact that Charlie had and still has to this day?
Oh man, whenever people, ask me like, what would Charlie have thought? What do we, Charlie would have been ecstatic. Like he would have been, he would have been so ecstatic. I know he's watching, I know he's looking down, but he dreamed of a revival of that kind. And so I am just so happy to see the amount of lives that he has touched. Even my personal church has been packed since 9/10, and I know that's the Charlie effect. A lot of young people within come into church now. I love seeing it. So he would have been so ecstatic. That was his goal. That was his goal.
And then for you to be a part of TPUSA now with Rise, and we're seeing, I looked on X and I'm seeing the numbers start to increase and increase when it comes to following. So where can everybody follow TPUSA Rise? Where can they follow you? And, get involved as well, the people that are watching right now that say, that's something I want to do.
Yes, definitely. Give us a follow. TPSA Rise, we launched officially in December. So we were previously, we had a grassroots operation for years, but we just kind of rebranded a bit to TPSA Rise. So we wanted to make sure that Americans knew across the country that we wanted everybody to join, right? This isn't a safe space for just one minority group. This is about Americans as a whole. And TPSA Rise reflects that. So we created new social accounts, and people can follow us at TPUSA Rise on Instagram, on X, TikTok. I believe Facebook's the same. So follow us there. You can go to our website at tpsarise.com. Join the movement. We need people to continue to join. We have campus chapters. We have obviously adult chapters. So there's something for everyone. And then me personally, you can follow me at @Pierre_Wilson on Instagram and X. So join the movement.
Yeah, definitely. Before I let you go, I have to ask you about some of the current events going on out there, the Save America Act. Your thoughts about that act for our country?
I need our senators to get a backbone and make sure this thing passes, do whatever it takes, a talking filibuster. We have to be strong. When the left eventually at some point gets power back, I know we all want to try to avoid that for as long as possible, but history shows that they'll at some point get power back. They're going to ram through all sorts of stuff, and they're not going to have any concern for what we feel about it. So we need to do this. And not only because of the partisan issue, this is something that is important for our country. It is very simple. We should not have illegals or anyone else trying to vote in our elections. Our elections need to be secure. You need an ID to go buy alcohol, to get on a plane, to do about so many different things in America, but yet it's okay for you sometimes not to have one to vote. This is simple. This is to be a slam dunk. Pass the SAVE Act now.
100% foundational for the freedom of our country and our future. Sir, thank you again for joining us. The Senior Director of TPUSA Rise and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us here on RSBN. Thank you again. All right, there you go. Interview with Pierre Wilson, TPUSA Rise, just from earlier today. Shout out to our production crew, doing a great job as well, just with all of the different moving parts of a live broadcast. And sometimes it's in the middle of an interview or a commercial break where there's new videos to be uploaded, and it's a team effort here. And thank you guys for great work. All right, it's 12:54 Tuesday, March 24th. The White House just released a video. I'm pretty sure it's a very comedic video. We'll maybe speaking of videos and getting them uploaded, maybe we'll get that one here in just a minute, but let's go to some of our sponsors before we do. Let's go to, I believe, All Family Pharmacy. 25% off. We want to take that moment to tell you about one of our trusted sponsors here, All Family Pharmacy. So if you're someone who believes in medical freedom, who supports the MAHA movement, and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain. And they give you direct access to the medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 400 generic medications without all of the runaround. Right now, exclusively for RSBN viewers, you get that 25% off with your code that you use there, RSBN25, and here's how it works. You simply go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, then you fill out a medical form. A licensed doctor, U.S. physician, reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. And with spring here and allergies and travel and uncertainty in the world, right now is the best time, of course, to be prepared. You can order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of business, and American business, of course, we should be supporting. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. RSBN 25 is the code. You see it right there. Let's go to Birch Gold Group as well. Think about the fact in 2006, $20,000, of course, equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. So $20,000, 33 ounces of gold at spot price. But at today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. A lot of people out there, smart Americans, are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals, and that's why you might want to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced financial strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. To get the ball started or ball rolling, you just text Trump to 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. They have this A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold and get that peace of mind. Text Trump to 989898 today. All right, we're approaching the top of the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for live streaming in. Of course, we're going to see Markwayne Mullin out of Oklahoma. The former now senator, now new job, is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And just a real quick sidebar of information. When you see people like myself and others in conservative media out here, you know, a lot of us have worked in mainstream news, mainstream media for several years. I worked in there for about, 18 to 20 years, if you want to include some of the college broadcasts. But it's been a long journey just on that side of things. But to be on the right side of history and to speak here just open and honest with you guys, where there's no teleprompter I'm really reading from. There's a screen behind that I, read a couple things, but this is not a newsroom that has that a teleprompter that read the scripts that a producer writes and it's all, it could be, a false narrative. None of that happens here at Right Side. This is something that's pretty cool, to be able to speak freely, have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and really just, sometimes I know I wear my heart on my sleeve talking about God, family, country, and all that, but I do, and that's just who I am. But the point is, thank you for watching, and thank you for sending this link to friends and family today as we get ready to see the President of the United States at the Oval Office there, swearing in Markwayne Mullin as the new DHS Secretary. On top of that, of course, we cover political events. We cover events at the White House, and we cover a lot of rallies, as you guys know, over the several years, including 10+ years. And also we talk about a number of stories that are happening within that 24/7 news cycle. So thanks so much for live streaming in. Conservative media, in my opinion, is David versus the mainstream media, Goliath. Figuratively speaking, we know what happens there between those two. So anyway, all right, let's do this. I think we have a couple videos to get to in just a second. So why don't we do this? Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to see if we can upload this video that the White House just posted. Again, I believe a little bit more of a comedic type of video, so we'll get to that right after the commercial break. You're watching RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I just saw on X right here an article from yours truly in the sense of Right Side Broadcasting Network. President Trump renews call for release of former Colorado clerk Tina Peters. Again, President Trump renews call for release of former Colorado clerk Tina Peters. We know President Trump talking about that pretty recently on Truth Social, and that's something that we've been talking about here at the network as well. All right, so let's do this. It's 101 Tuesday, March 24th. Let's go to the newest White House video that's out there. Let's roll it.
Do it. You can do it. Do it. I can't believe this is happening. What the is wrong with you people? You can do it.
Get it done, boys. It's necessary.
You can do it.
It's not that hard.
Do it. Yes, you can.
Just do it.
Come on, y'all. You can do it.
Well, you got to do more than that. What is your problem?
The will to act.
Drama.
You can do it.
You're not working hard enough. I need results.
I should have given you some context on that, so I will right now. So there's the video again playing. It's not that hard, the White House says. Just do it. This was posted 8 minutes ago. Save America's elections. Pass the Save America Act. Before we get to our sponsors, I want to play it again. Here's why. Rob Schneider, back in the day, conservative comedian. We know Rob, right? He's spoken at various events, whether it's, I think he spoke at CPAC, but I know he definitely spoke at AmFest. And he's out there with quite the following on X, and obviously a movie star, right? And various movies out there. And the part where he says, you can do it, right? We won't say the context of that part of the movie, but it's exactly right. You can do it, and we can do this thing. Let's pass this Save America Act. Before we play the video, I'm just going to say it quickly. I used to work in Tennessee as a local reporter, and I was out there on I-65 doing some morning coverage talking about all of this traffic, and Rob Schneider was doing the weather. You know how sometimes comedians come in and do the weather at local stations? Well, he did that at our local station. So he tossed out to me live in the field and said, Matt Alvarez, you can do it. All right. Anyway, I remember that. Rob Schneider, he's in this video. Let's look at it one more time.
Do it. You can do it.
Do it.
I can't believe this is happening. What the is wrong with you people? You can do it.
Get it done, boys. It's necessary.
You can do it.
It's not that hard.
Do it. Yes, you can.
Just do it.
Come on, y'all. You can do it.
Well, you got to do more than that. What is your problem?
The will to act.
Drama.
You can do it.
You're not working hard enough. I need results.
Pass the Save America Act. That's what people want, so just do it. All right, let's go to some more of our sponsors. Getting ready to see the president, and also Mark Wayne Mullen, of course, is going to be minted as the new Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. That swearing-in process will be happening at the Oval Office. We'll get to that in a second. Let's go to Rumble Wallet, one of our great sponsors here on Right Side, and then we'll go to Kalshi right after that. Rumble Wallet. So you may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Unfortunately, various platforms are doing the whole censorship thing, which is not cool. Well, we could fight back in the information and financial area. Rumble is the only company and one of the only companies that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. So with Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. So it's yours and only yours to protect your future and family. And you can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. So to get the ball rolling, all you have to do is go to wallet.rumble.com or just type in Rumble Wallet in your various app stores so you can open up an account and step away from the big banks. Let's also go to kalshi.com/RSBN. A ton of topics on there that people are betting, trading, or just checking out polls. You can do the same if you'd like. There's 3 ways to get the Kalshi, where there's already more than 1 million people using this great app. It's on the app stores, so that's one way to get there. You can go to kalshi.com/RSBN, which you may get a little mini gift there. I think Kalshi has a surprise for you, a good surprise. And then, of course, the QR code. So 3 ways to get to kalshi.com. Check out all of the polls that are happening, including one that's out there about when will the DHS be funded again. And it says different dates and percentages of those people that are putting money on the line for it, but also checking it out when it comes to polling. All right, so Kalshi.com and Rumble Wallet, two great sponsors. We'll get to some more in just a minute. It's 1:06, Tuesday, March 24th. So yesterday, within the 24/7 news cycle, we tossed to President Trump's gaggle, which is when he talks to the press out there. This was on the way from JBA, Joint Base Andrews, all the way out there to Memphis, Tennessee. A shout out to those of you watching in the volunteer state. But what we saw was the first half of the press gaggle. Let's watch the back half of President Trump speaking with reporters just yesterday.
Well, I think it's a lot different. And if you look at the nuclear weapons that they wanted to have, that they wanted to possess, a lot of things are different. I'm not a fan of what Russia's doing either, just so you understand, all right? But it's a lot different. You're talking about a country that has been evil for 47 years. They've been horrible. Death all over the world, not just us. Look at the way they attacked unexpectedly all of those countries surrounding them. It was not supposed to. Nobody was even thinking about it. But they wanted to take over the Middle East, and they wanted to knock out Israel permanently. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have been able to.
Are we President talking to Iran?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his troops or whatever he went on, ex-troops, if you look at his troops or his statements, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again and he lost. I said, you know, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was pretty heartbroken, but I said, you know, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. Smart. They gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me, you know? Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much. Think of it. He loses twice in Congress. Ran not very good campaigns. Should have won. But he loses twice. How do I get him? I have my people call him, because I didn't deal with him for the most part. I saw him a couple of times, but I never dealt with him at all. I had no idea his ideology was left or right, whatever it is. I can say this. He said very strongly that Iran is not a threat. Iran's been a threat for 47 years, and there's not a country in the world that doesn't agree with me on that. So I take this guy, Joe Kent, who lost twice for Congress, pretty badly, and tough, and it was devastated, and I know that he lost his wife. So instead of letting him live out his life, I brilliantly have my people call him and offer him a job in security, essentially, in the White House. Now, what does he do? He goes out and he says that Iran is not a threat to get publicity. Now, he probably signed up with CNN or maybe signed up with your division of Newsmax. I don't know, but probably signed up with CNN or somebody. But if you look at his tweets, X's or Truth, whatever he uses, I don't know because I don't follow him. What he said, 100% he agrees with me. All of a sudden he leaves. I never knew he had a problem. Now I hear they're looking at him for leaking. That's possible. But just so you understand, just to put it to rest, he lost twice badly. He also lost his wife. He's remarried since. He lost his wife. I felt badly for him. So I told my people, reach out to him, give him a job at the White House. This is the thanks I get. Any other questions?
Iran was not an imminent threat. That's what the intelligence said.
I think it was an imminent threat. I think that Iran, if we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, now that set them back. But if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to a month. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it as soon as they got it.
If you directly operated their nuclear sites last summer with your strikes, then how can you argue it's an imminent threat now?
we hit them so hard we obliterated them. But that doesn't mean with the right equipment you can't dig down and go get it. We don't want that, and we won't have that. But we obliterated that site. They still haven't been able to get it. That was a complete success. But if it wasn't, they would have had. If we didn't hit them, if we didn't use the B-2 bombers, which are unbelievable, we just ordered 22 more of them, modern version, by the way, super modern version. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had, within 2 weeks of that attack, that's why we hit them, because we knew they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it on Israel and the entire Middle East.
Overall crime in Memphis is down 43% since you began this task force. Is this a template you think it's
Well,
working?
what I'm doing today, really, this was supposed to be, this was a little bit before, set up a couple of weeks ago. This was before we had this situation with Iran take place last night. And by the way, they're just not communicating. When they say, I'm sure they don't mean that. When somebody says, no, I didn't know you were talking. We were talking last night, and I'm sure they have a lack of communication, which is appropriate considering we blew up, in addition to their Navy, Air Force, every division, their radar. We also blew up all of their anti-aircraft and communication. So they have no telecommunication. So there is a lack of, I would imagine, a lack of coordination.
If you're worried about the miscommunication.
Well, we think all we can do is think, look, we have numerous leader groups. They've all been killed. Very dangerous position. Khomeini was killed. Khomeini's son is unavailable. Nobody knows what happened to him. I can say they haven't seen him there either. Something is going on with him, but regardless, I don't consider him really the leader. But they do have some leaders left, because we blew up group number 1, group number 2, a lot of group number 3. But we think we have people that are very representative of the country and will do a good job in
Elon Musk has offered to pay TSA workers during this DHS shutdown. Is this something that you've been speaking to him about?
Yeah, I'd love it. I think it's great. Let him do that. And I want to thank ICE because they stepped in so strongly. They'll do great. And if that's not enough, I'll bring in the National Guard. We're not going to have the Democrats destroy our country. These people are the most destructive, sick people, the Democrats. They want, and they're fighting for this. They're fighting for men and women's sports. They're fighting for transgender for everybody. Everybody go out, get your kid a nice operation, and change the sex of your kid. They're fighting for, no, think of it. They don't want you to do voter ID. You walk into a booth. In California, if a person who's doing voting, an official, asks you for identification, they're subject to being arrested. What's wrong with this country? So we're fighting it hard. And I think they should, because the Democrats are being blamed for the shutdown, and it's their fault, and they're getting killed. That's why when I announced yesterday about ICE, the Democrats called. We want to settle. We want to settle. And I told the people, don't settle. Don't settle. Because we have something bigger. Only settle if you get the Save America Act, voter ID, and so important, proof of citizenship, etc. Thank you very much. We're dealing really...
Whose idea was it?
Mine. That was mine.
And can I ask you,
That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it say, why didn't I think of that? ICE was my idea. First person I called was Tom Homeland. I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's great. Then I saw today there was some masks on. I didn't think the masks were appropriate. I put out a statement and I asked them, would it be possible to take off the mask? Because they should wear a mask when they're dealing with the murderers and the thugs left and let it work.
So you said there's many points of agreement with Iran right now.
Many.
What, can you give us a
Many, like 15 points. 15 points.
Iran has said yes.
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number 1. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
They said yes to that?
They've agreed to that.
Will we see illegal migrant arrests at airports, sir?
Arrests?
Will we see ICE arresting illegal migrants at airports?
Yeah. Are we talking? That's why the Democrats are going crazy. Because they've allowed, by what they did, and hold up, we put ICE, who are a very high level I mean, they really are a high-level group of people. And they love it because they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country. That's very fertile territory. But that's not why they're there. They're really there to help.
So are you clear how they agreed to no enrichment whatsoever, even for medical purposes, civilian purposes?
They have. Thank you.
And what about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of that?
That'll be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will Iran still be in control of the oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me.
You want the United States to be
Me and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change. But we're dealing with some people that I find to be very reasonable, very solid. The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for. Look at Venezuela, how well that's working out. We are doing so well in Venezuela with oil and with the relationship between the president-elect and us. And maybe we find somebody like that.
Are you giving more options to lower the price of oil while
the price of oil will drop like a rock as soon as the deal is done. I guess it already is today. No, we have a very serious chance of making a deal. That doesn't guarantee anything. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not going to come out here in a week or 2 weeks and have you all say, oh, you said, I didn't say anything. All I'm saying is we are in the throes of a real possibility of making a deal. And I think if I were a betting man, I'd bet for it. But again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. They want to make a deal very badly.
Thank you. What changes would you like to see in DHS under Mark Wayne?
Well, he's going to be fantastic. He'll make his own change. He's already given me a list of people he wants to bring. He's a fantastic guy. I think he's just the right guy. You all know him. He's a very open, smart guy, very successful actually in business, which people don't know, and he's a friend of mine. I think Mark Wayne is going to be fantastic. Thank you.
Are the indirect costs?
Terrible. They made a mistake. It's a dangerous business. That's terrible. Thank you.
And you heard the president talking about Mark Wayne Mullen, of course, in about 12 minutes from now. As long as it's right on time at 1:30 Eastern, we'll be going to the White House to see Mark Wayne getting sworn in to his new role at the Department of Homeland Security. Before we get to our live guest, let's go to a couple of our sponsors, including angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. If you'd like to check out all of the skincare products that they have, you can do so on angelpaste.com. Use the RSBN promo code at checkout. You'll get that 10% off. You can use the QR code if you'd like to get direct access to it. A lot of great products right there. And thanks to the owners of Angel Paste, they sent us a shipment at the Alvarez household. And my wife is enjoying those products as well. So angelpaste.com. Let's go to Cove Pier, one more sponsor before we go to our live guest. You see covepier.com/RSBN. You know, we're past all of that new year, new me stuff now. So it's this is where Cove Pier comes in. Most people, you know, tend to go overboard buying new supplements or trying new diets and workouts, which is totally cool. I should probably do some of that. But they completely ignore the most important thing. That's one thing that I don't do is ignoring the water aspect. I can't stand tap water, so this is a perfect sponsor right here. Even mild dehydration also impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve. But Cove Pure changes all of that because they have that ClearWave technology, and it's certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those microplastics or pharmaceutical residue or fluoride all gets removed. It's the purest water you can get. So instead of a big overhaul, you can make one small upgrade that adds up every single day, clean water. Right now you can get $250 off for a limited time. If you use that link on the screen there, covepure.com/RSBN, covepure.com/RSBN, drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure. It's 1:20, it's Tuesday, it's March 24th, and before we get to our guest, I'm going to ask her about this story as well. Trending on X. Did you hear about this story? A Kentucky family rejects a $26 million offer to turn their farmland into a data center, roughly 10 times the area's going rate. The owner said to local reporters there, quote, "If it's my way, I'll stay and hold and feed a nation. 26 million doesn't mean anything." If you're just joining us, a Kentucky family rejected a $26 million offer to turn their farmland into a data center. What would you do in that situation? Wow. All right, joining us now out there in way west of Kentucky in California is VetCom CEO and conservative author Kate Monroe. What would you do? $26 million? or would you say, you know what? No, I'm going to stick to the farmland. We like our life the way it is. What would you do? You don't have to answer because a lot of people.
No, it's actually a really hard question because I wouldn't be doing farming in the first place. I don't come from a farm background. You know, I don't come from an agricultural background, so I have no idea. I would say this though. They're going to go to another farm and they're going to sell for $26 million. I mean, it's very sad because what they're saying is not only do we want to buy up your land to repurpose it for a data center, we're then going to have farming be done by robots. So at some point, they're going to try to eliminate humans altogether out of the farming industry. But good for these people for planting their flag and holding down the line. But it's going to be sad when robots take over their land and they'll look back and go, dang, I don't know if I made the right decision, but it's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting to see that new birth of artificial intelligence and robotics, and that robotics age. As we know, it was the information age with our phones. We have all the information at our fingertips, but now we're entering that new phase. We'll see what that all looks like. But in the meantime, right here today on this day of March 24th, we're seeing two major things be talked about on Capitol Hill, as you know. Save America Act and the DHS funding situation affecting TSA and others. Let's first start with the Save America Act. I don't know if you saw that video from the White House. They just released the whole thing about just do it, pass this thing. What are your thoughts out there in California about this?
Well, I mean, my thought is it's going to get passed. The stuff always ends up getting passed. So all of this grandstanding and gaslighting and like pretending to, really care about these illegal migrants over our own citizens, they'll run out of gas. They always do. You run out of the energy because something new is going to pop up. So they're going to pass it. So if you're going to pass it anyway, just do it now because you're bogging down our travel. You're basically saying we're willing to destroy all your travel plans. We're willing to make you as citizens wait in line. We don't want to pay the people that keep you safe, whether that be National Guard, Coast Guard, the TSA. They are just the party of ruin. I don't understand how people keep voting them in. I mean, you must be blind. I don't know where people get their information, but it's not from your network, apparently.
Apparently, I mean, the destructive way of leftists. They just don't like anything good. They're against God, family, country, and freedom. It's pretty simple stuff. And also, specifically within the Save America Act, though, we're seeing that, people like Mike Kelly or Mike Lee, the Utah senator, and others are really trying to hold down the fort and stay on that Senate floor. Nuking the filibuster is an option. Tommy Tuberville, the senator of Alabama, saying that. President Trump saying that. What are your thoughts?
Well, it goes both ways, So while you might want to do it right now, what if you're not the one in power next? And then you're like, oh, dang, we sort of nuked that thing. So it's hard to say because they both use it. And so I don't really know what's the best answer there, but I do think that we're going to see movement on it here pretty quick because you can only go so far the wrong direction before you hit a wall and you have to turn around and come back. So, I mean, I think the wall is approaching rapidly and we'll see them pivot here shortly. They'll cut their little deal, whatever they're trying to get, and we will move on. But it is sad. It's sad that we got to this point.
Would you go as far to say for the U.S. Senate, no vacations, no recess, no nothing? I don't care if it's middle of August and you really want to go travel. Nothing until the Save America Act passes and DHS is funded. Would you go as far to say that?
Why are they getting paid? I mean, why are you getting paid? If it's okay to not pay other American citizens who keep us safe, I mean, you keep us safe supposedly. So why are you getting paid? I think if they weren't getting paid and their travel was, impinged like the rest of America, they probably already made the right decision. So I don't even think they should be getting paid. Look, if you can't do your job and do it in a timely manner, you wouldn't be working at my company, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it sounds like I believe, representative out of Louisiana, Kennedy, he's saying the same thing, that we should actually not be getting paid right now until this gets taken care of.
Pretty simple
And those
stuff.
salaries, I talked about it yesterday, man, there's some decent salaries there on the Hill in D.C. And again, at the end of the day, just pass the Save America Act. That's what we the people want. We want DHS funded. We'd rather talk about other things, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on in the world, but that's a very pressing issue. Now,
But
Chad
the thing
Bianco,
is,
go ahead.
one thing, I mean, so these people make roughly $250,000 a year. With all their travel perks, they probably make more like $350,000. Do you know, in talking to them, most of them don't even care about that salary. That's not where they make money. They make money on all this lobbying, all this pilfering, all this backdoor money. They make 10 times more. How do you think they get so rich? I mean, if you stayed in your job for 10 years at only $250,000 a month, are you suddenly going to be worth $20 to $30 million? No, you are not. So they don't care about that money. You could tell them today, oh, you're not getting paid. They go, okay, cool. I'm still going to be getting paid millions of dollars over here. And that's wild.
Two words for you, Kate. Term limits. How about it?
Yes. Check. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. All right, so let's talk about Chad Bianco running for governor there in California. We played a video earlier. He's investigating in Riverside County as the sheriff there, some mail-in ballot, possible fraud. I mean, that's pretty awesome, first of all, to see someone that's running for governor be on the side of, hey, let's clean up everything we can, including our voting.
Well, I mean, the funniest part about this whole thing, it was actually a third-party organization that found these. It wasn't like he was even necessarily looking for them. It got brought to his attention. He went through the court system. They allowed him to go and seize these ballots. He didn't just go in the dead of night and steal all these old ballots. And I think it deserves a recount. The fact that our AG Bonta here is standing so firm in their way should tell you everything you need to know. If you're on the other side and you're trying to make sure that law enforcement can't enforce the law, there's a serious problem going on in our state. I love this for Chad. This might be the biggest thing he does. This will probably be the thing that will get him elected, his willingness to stand his ground and get this done.
And I see that, the patriots of California, we the people that do live in California, we know it's not all the so-called left coast in LA and San Francisco, but looking forward to seeing a hopeful turnaround in that state. And while we're at it, why not do the same in Minnesota with Mike Lindell and on and on and on throughout the country. Kate Monroe, the CEO of VetCom, conservative author and military veteran. Thanks again for your insight and your friendship.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, Kate Monroe, 128. It is Tuesday, March 24th. We are about 120 seconds, maybe, from going to the White House. Of course, on the president's schedule or on the White House schedule, it's at the bottom of the hour, 1:30 mark for this swearing in for Markwayne Mullin as the new DHS chief. So let's go to a couple of our sponsors before we get to our next segment. I believe All Family Pharmacy is the next one, so let's go there. As you see there on the screen, usually there's an RSBN 10 promo code. This time it's 25% off, and we want to take that moment to tell you about one of our trusted sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. And if you're someone who believes in medical freedom, who supports the Make America Healthy Again movement, and who's frustrated with a healthcare system that puts insurance companies and government bureaucrats between you and your doctor, All Family Pharmacy is for you. They are an independent American pharmacy, not a chain, and they also give you direct access to medications you need, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 400 generic medications without the runaround. And right now, exclusively for you guys, all of our RSBN viewers, you can get that 25% off your order with that RSBN 25 code. Here's how it all works. Just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You'll fill out a medical form. A licensed U.S. physician reviews your request, prescribes if appropriate, and your medication ships directly to your door. And with spring here and allergies and travel and the uncertainty out there, right now is a good time to be prepared. Order ahead and be ready. This is exactly the kind of American business we should be supporting. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. 25% off. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. Let's go to our next sponsor here on right side. You see it right there, Birch Gold Group. First, as you see, just text Trump to 989898. You'll get the info kit, a free one. And these guys aren't pushy. They're not going to be calling you, bugging you. It's just one step at a time because, back in 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. So smart Americans are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals. And that's why you might want to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced financial strategy. And even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Text Trump to 989898 to get that rolling. You can do that there right now live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Looking here on Breaking 911, let's see, literally 5 seconds ago posted. Let's see what it says. Leader John Thune said on the Senate floor, "Sometimes I wonder about the view my Democratic colleagues seem to have of the American people and in this debate of their voters in particular." That's just a statement that was just made by John Thune. Speaking of John Thune, let's just do the filibuster and pass the Save America Act. Common sense sounds pretty good to me. And also, we can go to clip number 7, I think. Actually, let's figure out which clip that is, guys. We're going to go to the clip out of South Dakota where Scott Pressler, that's clip 3 actually, was out there. And he got a video with a number of great patriots. I wonder what we, the people, want to have happen here when it comes to the Save America Act. Let's look at clip 3.
Senate Majority Leader Thune, we the people of South Dakota, especially here in Sioux Falls, we demand the Save America Act. Let's go!
As I mentioned earlier, if we went to any auditorium or any kind of venue and we wanted you to chant USA and cheer about passing the Save America Act, it would be a very loud country because we'd hear a lot of yelling from coast to coast, from the north to the south to the middle of the country, everywhere. Because the majority of the population, let's just talk evidence or receipts or numbers, right? We know that what happened in 2016. The swing states went to President Trump. The swing states went to President Trump in 2024. They went to President Trump in 2020. We know what happened in that election cycle. The massive majority of this country is not the megaphone mainstream media who thinks it's that wokeism and this liberal brainwashing, somewhat evil in some ways with some people out there. That's not the majority of the country. We want the Save America Act passed. We have a voice. We're using it. Isn't it cool to have freedom of speech, freedom of the press? What if one day we don't? What if one day, because of things like the Save America Act not passing, we don't have that freedom? That's not a scare tactic. It's provable. It's true. I mean, all of the founding fathers, all of these quotes that I look at, they're all talking about freedom and make sure to use your freedom wisely. John Adams saying something like that specifically. I'm not going to verbatim do the quote because I don't remember the quote verbatim right now. So I'm not going to act like I do. But I know that he was saying that you would never know or how much of the generation, how much it cost our generation for freedom. So I hope you make good use of that freedom now. So that's specifically a quote that I usually would read off the iPad here. But right now, that's a good use of freedom, is to get the Save America Act passed. This isn't just another talking point or just another, oh, that sounds cool on Capitol Hill. That's something that really, really needs to be done. And I guarantee you, if next time President Trump is out at an event and he's speaking in whatever state he's going to go to next, the midterms are coming up. We know what needs to happen in order to win those midterms. But one of those things would be to pass the Save America Act. We want to make sure when we go to those polling locations that you have that peace of mind that says, well, those millions of people that came through the border because of Joe Biden that are not documented. They have no documents, no papers. They're here illegally. They're illegal aliens. That they're not voting in this election. Why? Because they couldn't register in a federal election because the Save America Act is now a Save America law. And they had to prove their citizenship, or they had to show their ID, all of the things, It'd be a lot more of a peace of mind aspect when it comes to voting, I would think. And we know what's at stake here. Why is it called the Save America Act? What are we saving America from? Why is it called the Save America Act? If we could just let other people run the country that are on the wrong side of history, that are woke, that are anti all the things that we believe in, then what's going to happen to our freedoms? Are we going to start looking like Ireland or the UK or worse, China, right? It's a different playing field now. This isn't back in the Bush, Clinton days or Obama or Reagan and all. This is different days, different days. You think the filibuster, the fact that we're not nuking that filibuster right now, which we should be doing, and passing the Save America Act, Tommy Tuberville saying the same thing, President Trump saying the same thing about nuking it. You don't think that when the left, if they get into power again through hopefully a free and fair election, it would be. I don't want that to happen, but if the Democrats win again, it is what it is. I don't want that to happen, but don't you think that they would just nuke the filibuster all day long? Remember, we have swung really far right in the sense of what's going on now these days when it comes to the majority of the country. We don't want it to swing way, way left. That extreme left would be Kamala Harris times 25. So what's going to happen to our country? So that's why I know I'm obsessed with this Save America Act thing. I post way too much about it. I talk way too much about it. But why not? Let's just think about that. If you have X or Truth Social, we're going to take a commercial break really quickly. I want you to post pass the Save America Act wherever you are watching right now. Just pass the Save America Act. We want to have our freedoms. That's what we're fighting for, right? We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back. It's 1:39 on the East Coast. Good afternoon and welcome back into Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 1:30 or a little bit past that, the president participates in a swearing-in ceremony for the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen. That will be in the Oval Office of the White House. Meantime, President Trump visited Graceland after his Memphis Safe Task Force roundtable yesterday in Tennessee. Let's take a look at clip 1A as we stand by.
Hello, everybody. We were here and we're touting how well it's done with the crime stats, and over a period of 5 months, it's way, way down, and we're proud of it. We're going to come back in 2 or 3 months, and we'll have a very, very, one of the safest cities. So Memphis went through a terrible thing, and like in D.C., we're doing great, and every place we go, we're doing great, to be honest with you. So, Frank, I'd love to go to Chicago. I'd love to be invited to Chicago. We would get rid of crime in Chicago very easily, but the Democrats don't want to do that. I'd love to go to San Francisco. Would make it something. Would bring it back to where it was. And the mayor's working hard. He's a Democrat. He's working hard there, but we could do things that they just can't do. But every place we go, and Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. Most of them are down by 75% and more. And within 2 or 3 months, we'll have it down to over 90%. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that, right?
And everyone loves Elvis.
I love Elvis too. Elvis, you know, they all say, did you know Elvis? So I knew Frank Sinatra. I knew most of them. Unfortunately, I never met Elvis, and that would be one I would have liked a lot. But I do like his music, I will say. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming and visiting us.
All right, let's go to one of our sponsors, Kalshi.com/RSBN, as we stand by for any live feed there at the White House for the swearing in of Markwayne Mullin as the leader of the Department of Homeland Security. You see Kalshi.com/RSBN. A lot of political topics on there that people are betting, trading, checking out various polls. You can do the same if you'd like, Kalshi.com/RSBN. You see that QR code as well. Let's shift over to Rumble Wallet too. Rumble Wallet, you may have seen those conversations happening online. Censorship is back, happening a number of platforms out there as they try to control narratives and push the stuff they want us to see, and we could fight back in that information and financial area. All you have to do is to get everything started is just go to wallet.rumble.com, wallet.rumble.com. You can download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, step away from the big banks with wallet.rumble.com. You can see those app stores right there. Just type in Rumble Wallet. All right, it's 1:42. It's March 24th. We're standing by for the president's event there at the White House. As soon as we see that feed, we'll take you there live. In the meantime, as we get ready to go to Washington, D.C. for the latest on that story and others, let's go to President Trump as he spoke about the Save America Act and also this government shutdown, this partial government shutdown affecting, of course, as you guys may have seen, long lines at those airports all across the country. Let's look at clip 2.
So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell them. That would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're tying them together.
All right, so the president speaking in Tennessee just yesterday, as you saw. Let's go from Tennessee over to Washington, D.C., back on Capitol Hill. The Utah Senator Mike Lee and Oklahoma Senator James Lankford have plenty to say about passing the Save America Act.
President Trump has made clear that he thinks that we shouldn't recess and that we should stay here over the next 2 weeks to continue to debate the Save America Act until we get it passed and to make sure that the Department of Homeland Security is funded. I stand behind that strongly. We have no business taking a recess right now with all of this happening. Now, regardless of what happens over the next few weeks, our message still needs to be the same. With respect to Save America, whether we're in session or whether even if they make the unfortunate decision, which I've strongly recommend against, of recessing, we've got to use either one as an opportunity to message, particularly to Democratic senators, any senators who are opposed to the Save America Act. We need to use this as an opportunity to make them explain what exactly it is about voter ID that they find so objectionable, or what it is about efforts to make sure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. Why do they find that so objectionable? Either way, our message has to be the same, and we can't let up, not even for a minute. I hope and stand by President Trump in saying we shouldn't recess, should keep this up. But even if they make the wrong decision on this, we've still got to keep that messaging up and insist that if they take that unfortunate step and continue with the recess, that we get right back to it and continue debating it until it is passed when we get back. Keep up the message and we'll win.
This simple piece of legislation focuses on two key ideas. That if you're an American citizen, which is required by law, you just show it. I call that the trust and verify portion of the bill. The 1965 Voting Rights Act begins with the statement, all citizens. It is already required under federal law that you have to be a citizen of the United States to vote. We've all agreed on that. There's no one disputing that. Republican, Democrat, Independent, we all agree American citizens are the ones that should decide the future of America. What we disagree on is, should we check? Or should we just trust that it actually is true? I've shared in this body before that in Oklahoma, we passed a statute several years ago saying that if you go to jury duty and you tell a judge, I'm not eligible to be able to serve on a jury because I'm not a citizen in the United States, in Oklahoma, we then check to see if you're registered to vote. And we found quite a few folks that tell a judge, I'm not a citizen, but told the election board, I want to vote anyway. Well, that's not illegal, but in Oklahoma, we purge the voter roll when that happens to be able to make sure those individuals that have already given sworn testimony they're not a citizen are not also registered to vote. That's not true everywhere across the country. Lots of folks just say, we just trust, but we never verify.
All right, so as you guys see on Capitol Hill, everyone talking about the Save America Act or the DHS lack of funding right now when it comes to the partial government shutdown thanks to the Democrats. Again, they started out with this long list of demands saying things about ICE and all these ridiculous things, and that's why we got into this mess. Now they're holding back and not passing this through, which, again, you see what's happening out there. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors in the meantime as we stand by for word that the White House is going live when it comes to this event, which we're standing by for. Let's go to angelpace.com out of Spring, Texas. You see that promo code right there on the bottom. RSBN is the promo code. You get 10% off, angelpace.com. There's a lot of different products on there. If you check it out, peruse the site. You have the flagship product as well. They hire veterans there in Spring, Texas. They have some great products. You can check it out. If you like to use the QR code, you have that option as well. Let's also go to covepure.com/RSBN. Covepure is simply saying the following. You know, most people tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, which is totally fine, of course, but they completely ignore the most important basic thing, water. And even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, things like microplastics or pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, it all gets removed with this Clearwave technology. 99.9% of contaminants on the way out when it goes through that machine right there. So instead of a big overhaul, make one small upgrade that adds up every single day. Clean water. Right now you can get that $250 off for a limited time if you use our link, covepure.com/RSBN. QR code's there too for you if you'd like to use it. All right, 1:49 Eastern. Out of Riverside County, California, Sheriff Chad Bianco is highlighting an investigation into mail-in ballots. Let's take a look at clip 5.
Hello, California. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and your next governor. Well. The political corruption in California just gets bigger and bigger. Our embarrassment to law enforcement, Attorney General Rob Bonta, just filed an emergency writ with the Court of Appeals to stop ballots from being counted in Riverside County. For those not aware, we are conducting an investigation into an alleged and potential 45,000 extra votes counted than the number of ballots cast in the November 2025 special election. So we are all clear, this isn't about counting yes and no votes. This is simply counting the total ballots and comparing that total with the number of votes reported by the Dominion machines. Plain and simple, common sense. Not only did a Superior Court judge approve a warrant to obtain the ballots, but also issued a separate order to count them. Why in the world would Rob Bonta want that count stopped unless he was afraid of what that count would uncover? We have an extremely politically biased appeals court, so this is going to be interesting. What's it going to be? Let law enforcement count the ballots as part of a lawful investigation, or halt the investigation and sweep it under the rug? All California voters should be demanding transparency, not legal maneuvers and cover-ups. Stay tuned.
All right, so the sheriff out of Riverside County running for governor out there in California. And soon we'll see the newly minted Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security be sworn in by the Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump, the 47th president. But let's take a look at a recent White House video about Oklahoma's Mark Wayne Mullen in clip 6.
It's the idea that a little kid from Westville, Oklahoma that grew up on a small ranch with no political background, no family history of politics, can get upset one day and just decide I'm going to run, and I get to serve in the United States Senate. It's humbling to me every time. And when I got to D.C., I can't tell you how uncomfortable it was. I was on the steps and I started praying, and I was like, Lord, why? Why would you put me in this position? And I just felt this peace come over me, and just like, listen, I didn't call you to be one of those guys. Just be you. The great thing about me in politics is that this isn't my livelihood, nor is it my career. This is something I get to do because I felt like the Lord was leading me down that road.
All right, so we'll be seeing Mark Wayne Mullen here in just a little bit as we are on standby, just as you guys are as well. I know you'd rather be seeing the president there in the Oval Office at this time because it was at 1:30 that schedule announcement was made when it comes to the Mark Wayne Mullen swearing in. So as soon as we see it, we'll take you there. No other networks in that Oval Office live right now. Trust me on that one. I could check. You could check. But anyway. We wouldn't hold that back from you. So we're looking forward to going to the live event there at the Oval Office. Soon to be joined by, I believe, Silk will be on the phone. Silk of Diamond and Silk, of course, joining us here shortly to talk about the Save America Act, talk about the DHS funding. And it's always good to catch up with Silk here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Same thing with Mike Lindell and others, people that have been doing this for quite some time. Speaking of that, Right Side Broadcasting Network since 2015, all the way until 2026 and beyond. So looking forward to it as it's 12:52 Eastern Time. Just double checking any other headlines right now. Disclose.tv saying just in, the British Royal Navy will take the lead in forming an alliance to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's in the British Times that we're seeing. Also, the White House saying the following: huge thanks to our ICE agents deployed at airports nationwide, helping keep TSA lines moving so Americans can fly safe and on time. True patriots. That's what the White House is saying there. Of course, the lines are just ridiculous, unprecedented. You can't really use the word unprecedented unless it really is. A lot of times in media over the years, this is an unprecedented. No, it's not. This is unprecedented. A 6, 7, 8 hour wait in TSA lines. The TSA was only created, in post 9/11, right? So it's only been 20 some odd years. So anyway, but we're going to go to Silk here in just a minute. We'll be talking again about the Save America Act and other topics for discussion. But while we await that, let's do this. Let's go to the Department of Agriculture. Just had a new video that was just released in clip 9.
It means a standard. An American standard.
It means it was born here, raised here, processed here.
It means the healthiest food for a healthier future.
If you're going to use the American flag,
it better be American.
From start to finish, supporting American farmers, ranchers,
and producers. This is what America looks like.
Built on grit, backed by the people who live it.
From generation
to generation.
There's no faking the standard.
Because when you see this label,
it means exactly what it says.
Born here,
raised here,
processed here,
from the land of the free.
Product of USA.
Awesome logo, product of the USA. What a great video that is. I was at a professional bull riding competition. Yes, this guy in the suit, I can grow a beard and I can wear a hat. I do love country music. I love the South too. Living down here in Alabama. My family's from the North. I love the North as well. But I went to one of those PBR, not the beer, but professional bull riding competitions at Madison Square Garden in New York, years ago. It's just cool to see all these different events across our country, and I just want to keep our country moving forward when it comes to freedom with the Save America Act being passed. So we're going to, again, hear from Silk about her thoughts about all of that coming up in just a minute. Let's do this as well. Let's go to, speaking of the Save America Act, a new video from the White House. Again, we're live right now, guys. We're awaiting the live feed to the Oval Office. So we're not just wasting time here. We're just waiting for the feed to go to the White House. We'll take you there as soon as that happens. And of course, filling in some of the time with videos like this. Clip number 10, the Just Do It video from the White House saying, pass the Save America Act.
Do it. You can do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. I can't believe this is happening. What the is wrong with you people? You can do it.
Get it done, boys. It's necessary.
You can do it.
It's not that hard.
Just do it. Yes, you can.
Just do it.
Come on, y'all. You can do it.
Well, you gotta do more than that. What is your problem?
The will to act.
Drama, drama, drama.
You can do it.
You're not working hard enough. I need results.
All right, so tongue in cheek, right? It's kind of funny, kind of interesting. But I like what she said at the end. We need to see results. And so that's something that we would like to see is the Save America Act passed. In the meantime, as we await the White House, the Oval Office there for the swearing-in ceremony for Markwayne Mullin, I am hearing in the other control room area some of the phone calls that are happening right now. That usually when that happens, that means we're about to go live to the White House. Director, should we go to our interview with Pierre Wilson? It's about a 7 to 9 minute interview. I think we have enough time to do that. Can we go to that? Okay, so we're going to go to Pierre Wilson with tvOS Rise. And as soon as we see that live feed, of course, we're going to go right to the White House. And joining us now is the Senior Director of tvOS Rise and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us right now. Thanks so much, Pierre, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Let's talk about what tvOS Rise is.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll start with the fact that we are the largest minority conservative movement in the country. We have the largest grassroots operation. We built something really special, and I'll start really quickly with just a brief piece of my story, because I think my story is so many people's story within tvOS Rise. I was a former liberal. I marched with BLM at one point. I believed the lies that America wasn't for me because I was Black. And that's so many individuals within tvOS Rise that we found that this has been the case with Hispanics. Obviously we reach into Asian communities. There's a toxic culture that I think the liberal left has pushed onto minority communities in an effort to control that voting bloc. We're breaking those chains, we're breaking up that echo chamber. We're bringing an alternative perspective. And it's helped us grow into the largest minority conservative grassroots movement in the country.
It's awesome to see that. And it's great to tackle the mainstream media's lies that are out there using tvOS Rise and just having conservative media as a whole. So what is that like to really go against that narrative of wokeism?
Well, I've been doing it for a while now. So for me, I'm used to all the, hate that comes with it, because I'll tell people who are just beginning their journey, it's not an easy one. I've been there. I understand what it feels like in the very beginning when you start to speak out about your conservative values, especially as a minority in this country today. They see you as a traitor to your race and they start calling you all sorts of names. And, you may have family members and friends that you have been close to for years turn against you, but you have to be willing to stand for what you believe in. And again, I've been doing it for a while, so I'm used to the backlash, and I've obviously met some really great people on my journey. I always say I really didn't lose anybody. I gained, a new group of friends, new people I consider family. But yeah, for people who are beginning the journey, it's not easy, but you do have to remember that what you're doing and what you're fighting for, if it truly matters, it's never going to be easy, but it is worth it.
100%. So specifically, can you take us back again to your story? What was that specific moment that you said, you know what, this is not for me on the left side of history. I got to get on the right side of history.
Well, I'll tell you what, I tell my wife all the time, because I get this question often where someone will ask me, hey, what was the moment you became conservative? And my answer to them is always that I've been conservative. I just now realized it, right? I realized it because conservative to me is really the values, what you believe in. And I realized once I had that moment, which was really a combination of a couple different things throughout my life. But the key moment was really me being up late one night, watching some YouTube videos and coming across some conservative influencers. And I remember people like Dr. Carol Swain, and I heard from Thomas Sowell on there. These are people I really hadn't followed previously before. And they were saying things in a way and from a perspective that I'd never heard before. And I thought they were lying. I was like, absolutely, this stuff is not true. This has to be fake. This is terrible that they're spreading this misinformation, and I'm writing these things down that they're saying because I was like, I'm going to fact check them. I don't know what I was going to accomplish with that fact check because I didn't know them. It wasn't like I was going to be able to tell them, but it was going to make me feel good about myself to know that they were wrong. But when I went down that rabbit hole, I realized really quickly that they were actually correct. The things that they were saying were right. And, black on black crime, the way the government has gotten, the black community dependent on them, the welfare system, single motherhood rate, just certain things that were just, again, shared from a perspective I never heard. That really woke me up to realize that I agree with many conservative values, right? I'm not a fan of high taxes. Like, I like limited government. I think police matter in our community. I want secure borders. Like, I believe that a baby's life in the womb matters. Like, there's so many different things that I was like, man, I agree with these things, So I realized that I had really been emotionally manipulated. As a man, I know it's terrible to say, but that's just the truth. A lot of minority Americans are taught to vote based off of emotion. Like, you need to hate them because they're out to get you, but not really to think from a logical perspective.
That is so true. It is so refreshing to hear this because I think it really encourages people that are out there that are speaking about conservatism. I mean, you are a living testament to watching something online, and look at what you're doing now. You're a senior director at tvOS Rise. I mean, that is pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's amazing, and I wouldn't be here today, obviously, if it wasn't for people like Charlie. I feel it in my heart to always bring him up whenever I speak because he believed in me too, and he believed in what we were doing. And the moment we joined TPUSA, we blew up. Like, we were doing well before we merged with them roughly in 2023, and he poured more resources, more support into what we were doing, and that's how we ended up becoming the largest group of our kind. So really, thankful for people like Charlie Kirk and the entire TPUSA family for why I'm here today.
100%, 100%. And then also, were you at that memorial on September 21st in Glendale, Arizona last year?
So I did not personally go to the memorial. My youngest had his birthday that exact same weekend, and it broke my heart, obviously, to not be able to go. But Charlie and I were very close. I was one of the few in the company that reported directly to him. So we text often. We had a relationship, and I miss him every day, man. But Erica's doing an incredible job. Her leadership is strong. So we're in good hands, but certainly we all miss Charlie.
Yeah, 100%. What a powerful memorial that was, that millions and millions of people saw. I know you watched it as well, and just the power of God moving throughout that stadium. And to know that this is something that Charlie, I'm sure, would have been very, very happy about, to see all of these people and the impact. Can you believe that global impact that Charlie had and still has to this day?
Oh man, whenever people, ask me like, what would Charlie have thought? What do we Charlie would have been ecstatic. Like, he would have been so ecstatic. I know he's watching, I know he's looking down, but he dreamed of a revival of that kind. And so I am just so happy to see the amount of lives that he has touched. Even my personal church has been packed since 9/10, and I know that's the Charlie effect. A lot of young people coming to church now. I love seeing it, So he would have been so ecstatic. That was his goal.
And then for you to be a part of TPUSA now with Rise, and we're seeing, I looked on X and I'm seeing the numbers start to increase and increase when it comes to following. So where can everybody follow TPUSA Rise? Where can they follow you? And, get involved as well, the people that are watching right now that say, that's something I want to do.
Yes, definitely. Give us a follow. TPUSA Rise, we launched officially in December. So we were previously, we had a grassroots operation for years, but we just kind of rebranded a bit to TPUSA Rise. So we wanted to make sure that Americans knew across the country that we wanted everybody to join, right? This isn't a safe space for just one minority group. This is about Americans as a whole. And TPUSA Rise reflects that. So we created new social accounts, and people can follow us at TPUSA Rise on Instagram, on X, TikTok, I believe Facebook's the same. So follow us there. You can go to our website at tpsarise.com. Join the movement. We need people to continue to join. We have campus chapters. We have obviously adult chapters. So there's something for everyone. And then me personally, you can follow me at @DPierreWilson on Instagram and X. So join the movement.
Yeah, definitely. Before I let you go, I have to ask you about some of the current events going on out there, the Save America Act. Your thoughts about that act for our country?
You know, I need our senators to get a backbone and make sure this thing passes, do whatever it takes. The talking filibuster, we have to be strong. You know, when the left eventually at some point gets power back, I know we all want to try to avoid that for as long as possible, but history shows that they'll at some point get power back. They're going to ram through all sorts of stuff, you know, and they're not going to have any concern for what we feel about it. So we need to do this. And not only because of the partisan issue, this is something that is important for our country. It is very simple. We should not have illegals or anyone else trying to vote in our elections. Our elections needs to be secure. You need an ID to go buy alcohol, to get on a plane, to do about so many different things in America, but yet it's okay for you sometimes not to have one to vote. This is simple. This is to be a slam dunk. Pass the SAVE Act now.
100% foundational for the freedom of our country and our future. Sir, thank you again for joining us. The Senior Director of TPUSA Rise and host of Unchained, Pierre Wilson, joining us here on RSBN. Thank you again. Well, there you go. Passing the Save America Act. I mean, how many times are we going to say it, whether it's on TV, whether it's on a live stream broadcast, whether it's on Truth Social or X or Facebook or Rumble, wherever you are watching and wherever you are live streaming this event here specifically. Thank you for watching on Rumble as well. But the point is passing the Save America Act is not just a thing to say. It's all about common sense. It's all about what are we saving our country from, right? So obviously a number of things. We're saving our country from socialism, communism, losing our rights, our constitutional rights. I think it's that serious. That's why it's called the Save America Act, because it's to save the country, right? So there's a lot of stories going on. We've been talking about a number of them here on Right Side. And if you've looked over some of the so-called archives, or even just over the past few weeks, pretty much name a national story or just something that we've been talking about, it's in there. But saving America, of course, is of utmost priority as we are about to see the President of the United States and also the new Secretary of Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security, Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. So we'll hear from the President, I believe, at first. Then we'll watch the swearing-in ceremony. And then Markwayne, the new Secretary of DHS, I believe, would be speaking as well. And maybe they'll be taking questions from the press. So this is one of those events that a lot of people will be watching, whether live right here on Right Side or on replay. But thank you again for choosing Right Side Broadcasting Network, conservative media as a whole. Of course, on the right side of history, all for God, family, country, freedom, truth, justice, and the American way. That's what we're about. And so if you're just joining us now, thank you so much. We went through some interviews and had a lot of live videos earlier and some videos that we've been seeing. I'm seeing the President now appear on one of the platforms. And of course, that's coming to us right this second as well. So it's 2:08 Tuesday, March 24th. Let's go live to the White House where President Trump is speaking any minute from now as it's 1:09 Central Time. Standing by, of course, seeing that feed on X. Thanks so much for watching on X as well with Right Side Broadcasting Network. And there it is. Let's go there to the White House.
Must be something big happening, huh? You all set? Well, thank you very much. It's a great day for me because I have a lot of confidence in this gentleman. And we're thrilled to swear in our new Secretary of Homeland Security, a great American patriot, to put it mildly, Markwayne Mullin. And I want to just say, Markwayne, congratulations. Great. Thank you. You deserve it. You're a great man. Let me also thank Secretary Mullin's beautiful family, including his wife, Christy, thank you, his sons, Jim and Jace and Andrew, and daughters, Lara, Ivy, Lynette, and other members of the Mullin family. It's a beautiful family. You know this guy? He's our big top wrestling guy. I won't wrestle him for anything. An all-American wrestler, huh? Good, you have good genetics in that family. Proud of you. Thanks as well to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Chairman Jason Smith, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, and many other friends that are gathered with us. It's a great group of people. For 13 years, Mark Wayne has represented the incredible state of Oklahoma, a state that I won 77 out of 77 counties 3 times in a row, so they like me there. Second was Ronald Reagan at 56. Did you know that? 56, that's not bad. But 77, it's 77 out of 77, I think, right? That's not bad. But he was there in Congress as a member of the House and then as an outstanding United States Senator. And he really has been outstanding. He's been a close and vital partner in helping us secure the border, stop migrant crime, end the scourge of illegal drugs, and make America safe again and make America great again. And he's a tremendous player. He worked with Tom Homan, worked with all of our people on the right, and many more. And everything he's done has been good. I say everything he touched, he's turned to gold. Now, but even in business, he was successful, in all fairness. And he was successful, and he said, I want to go into politics. I hope you're happy. But as the only Native American, I didn't know that, huh? Let me look at you. Well, I think that's all right. He's got great quality, I can tell you. He's the only Native American in the Senate. How many have been there before you? Do you know? Native American? I think 3. 3. Well, you're a fantastic representative. Mark Wayne has also been a fantastic advocate for our cherished tribal communities. He's now the first member of the Cherokee Nation ever to serve as a member of the cabinet. I didn't know all these things. I would have picked him faster if I had known. I would have made a quicker decision. Prior to his career in public service, Mark Wayne had a very successful career in business, leaving school at age 20 after his father got sick, taking over his family business and turning it into a multi-million-dollar success story. He's a very successful guy. Mark Wayne has also a career as an MMA fighter. That's why I looked at his ears and I said, I'm not going to fight with him. You can tell a lot about a person by their ears, right? During which he went totally undefeated. He was undefeated during his career, and he's been inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame. And the family is made of fantastic wrestlers, especially that guy right there. That's my favorite guy, huh? And suffered bad injury and come back stronger than ever, I think. So good to have you, man, right? I have no doubt that as he takes the helm of DHS, Mark Wayne will fight for Homeland Security, the United States, and securing the country and making it really strong and the way it should be. Our country's come a long way in the last year. We set it up so beautifully, and then we had 4 years of horror. We had 4 years of disgusting horror, open borders, and things that nobody would even think of. You wouldn't even think of. 25 million people poured into our country, and we've gotten a lot of them out, but we have a lot more to go. 11,888 murderers came into our country. People came in from all over the world, from prisons and gangs, gang members, drug dealers, people from mental institutions, insane asylums. That's the mental institution times 2. And what they allowed to happen to our country can never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. With Mark Wayne, we have somebody that's strong, professional, and fair. As you know, the department that Mark Wayne takes over today is currently shut down by radical left Democrat thugs in Congress who have blocked all funding for DHS because they're trying to shield illegal alien criminals, gang members. They want to protect them from being taken out of the country, drug dealers, murderers. They're protecting them all. I don't know how people can vote for these people. You know, I see the midterms are close. I don't know what close means, but I don't know how people can vote for them. You take a look. Men, they want men to be able to play in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. Terrible. But that's the way it is. They don't want to give voter ID. They don't want voter ID for elections. They don't want proof of citizenship for elections. And then they get to vote. They do cheat. but I don't know, it's hard to believe they can cheat that much. Just in the past few days, we've seen the horrifying consequences of Democrats' deadly open border extremism. They want open borders, and they want to open the borders again if they have their chance, because they think they're going to get votes by doing that. On Thursday, a precious 18-year-old college student named Sheridan Gorman was shot and killed while she was walking in a park. She was just walking into the park, didn't do anything. The illegal alien monster charged with Sheridan's brutal murder had come illegally from Venezuela and been released into our country by Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And I don't say that because I think he's fine, he's okay. I don't like him, dislike him. I talk about job performance. That's all I care about, job performance. Worst president in history. And Obama wasn't far behind, by the way. But he was then arrested and released again by Democrat governor, a real slob of a governor, J.B. Pritzker, in the sanctuary city of Chicago, which we could make safe in 2 months, I would say. 2 months if we sent in the group, Tom, right? 2 months would be good. 3 months, very good. 4 or 5 months, it would be great. But they would never call because they don't want to do that. All they have to do is call and ask for a little help. The Democrats in Congress do not care how much American blood they shed in their demented pursuit of open borders. From Sheridan Gorman to Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, their quest to flood our country with illegal aliens has left countless American victims in its wake. They never change, do they? They see what's happening. They never change. That's what they want. They want to get the votes. With sanctuary and sanctuary cities going at levels that they are, and we've ended a lot. We've done a lot. But for some reason, they love it. It's a sanctuary. You know, sanctuary cities are sanctuary it's really a sanctuary for criminals. With Secretary Mullen at DHS, we will continue our record-setting efforts to deport these illegal alien criminals from our country, and we are doing at record levels despite a very unfair court system, a radicalized left court system, and others that I'm not too fond of also. And we'll protect innocent American lives. Every single illegal migrant who is a criminal record must be deported immediately. If they have a criminal record, you got to deport them. And there's a lot that came in under Biden. And Kamala, the great border czar Kamala, who never went to the border, never called Border Patrol, never once called Border Patrol. Can you imagine that, Jim? She's the border czar. She never called Border Patrol. Explain that to me. He's the worst. She was as bad as he was. Going to give him IQ tests next week. Under the Trump administration, we've achieved unprecedented gains on public safety. Yesterday, we were in Memphis, Tennessee, to celebrate the steepest reduction in crime ever recorded. We've been there for about 5 months, and the numbers, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And thanks to our Memphis Safe Task, it's called Safe Task Force, alongside our efforts in Washington, D.C. And what we've done in Washington is amazing. We have Washington as a safe city now. It's been amazing. It's been, if you go back a year and a half, 2 years ago, Washington was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, let alone this country. And now we have a very safe city. And what they've done with all of the people working, many of the people standing right there, has been incredible. And now we're going to see all of our cities take a big step because of Mark Wayne. In 1 year, my administration, we've created the most secure border in the United States history and the largest drop in illegal immigration ever recorded, slashed the illegal fentanyl crossings on our border by 64%, and accomplished the largest decline in the murder rate in the history of our country, bringing it down to 1,900. That's before my father was born. My father was born a little bit after that. He wouldn't be happy mentioning this because he never liked talking about age, but he lived to be a ripe old age, but that's before my father was born. Think of it, 1,900, we have a record, 1,900. Murders last year were at the lowest level in 125 years, and we're making America safe again. We're doing it at levels that everything we're doing, we're making great. The borders are great. The military is great. We're having, by the way, a tremendous success, as you know, in Iran. We had one in Venezuela, and now we're having one in Iran. They have no Navy left. They have no Air Force left. They have no anti-aircraft equipment left, no radar left, no leaders left. The leaders are all gone. Nobody knows who to talk to. But we're actually talking to the right people, and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. And we'll see what happens. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you're doing over there is really incredible. You and the general and all of the other generals and colonels and captains and majors and everybody else, right? It's a perfect, amazing thing. We make the best military equipment in the world. Now we're going to make it faster. We want to get it faster, but we make the best in the world. We're doing a job. So I'd like to ask Attorney General Bondi to come and do the honors of swearing in a man who's going to do a phenomenal job for our country. And I tell you, your family has to be very proud. You have to be very proud. Absolutely. Everybody wanted this job. I said, there's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Pam. Come on over. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And that I will bear true faith to allegiance and do the same.
And that I take this obligation freely.
Take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully.
And that I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties of the office.
Discharge the duties of the office.
On which I am about to enter.
Which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Secretary.
Hey.
Thank you. I think that was the most nervous I've ever been. It just seems surreal being in the Oval Office and having the President of the United States speak so highly of me and then recognize my family and know my family by name. It's humbling, and I never take it for granted, but I made this very clear that I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same, and we will do that. I'll fight every single day. Today I got the privilege of meeting so many of the employees at DHS. These employees have been there for 30 days without pay. And if you need anything to know their dedication to show up and still protect the homeland that you and I enjoy and the freedoms that we're experiencing, they're working with for free because of political politics. That's all I need to know. I told them, as you're fighting 365 days, understand I'll be fighting 365 days beside you. No one's going to outwork me, and I'm not going to let any of them outwork me. The President has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I love that expression, no one's going to outwork me. That's a wrestler's expression, isn't it, huh? That's a good wrestler's expression. Yes, please.
Mr. President, will the Secretary's replacement in the Senate support the SAVE Act and the use of the talking filibuster to get it through?
Well, it's not the SAVE Act. It's not called this. It's called the Save America Act. There's a big difference because the SAVE Act, nobody knows what that means. Save America means Save America. And I can't speak for him, but I would imagine that Mark Wayne, I didn't even ask him the question because who wouldn't support it? Voter ID with a picture. You want citizenship, proof of citizenship. Ideally, you want to end mail-in ballots because there's tremendous corruption. Then we added a couple of things, Mark Wayne, like I don't think being a great athlete and having a family of great athletes, they have produced great athletes in this family, all-American wrestlers. They especially like wrestling, by the way. And what about baseball? You play baseball? Anything? They like wrestling. But I don't think that you would say that his family, and I don't know this for a fact, and I shouldn't say it because I could get myself, Does anybody in your family want men to play in women's sports? I don't think so, Jim, right? I don't think so. I don't think. How would they do? Would they do good wrestling you? They would be in trouble? He said, yes, they'd be in big trouble. It's so crazy. So that would be one. And then we have a few others that we call them the best of Trump. But if you look at transgender mutilization of children, we don't want that. It's the mutilization of children. We don't want that. So generally speaking, I think I can answer that Mark Wayne would be very much in favor of what I'm in favor of. Would you say that's right, Mark? I can't think of too many things. He might be worse. He might be worse than me. That's my look at his wife is saying. That's right. But so yeah, he's going to be great. Yeah.
Do you believe the secretary will run DHS any differently than Kristi Noem did? What do you hope to see as his priorities?
Well, we had a good run. Look, we created the strongest border with the help of that man right there. Tom is so incredible, and he's going to be a big influence here too. There's nobody more professional, nobody better. There's nobody better as a human being. You know, he looks tough, but he's got a good heart, but not too good. Don't make it too good. But you know, we had Tom. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have a lot of assets, but a lot of things we can do, and we're going to do. We have to get criminals out of our country that were allowed in by Biden. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support what appears to be a merging agreement coming out of the Senate to reopen DHS?
Well, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans, and you know, sometimes it's awfully hard to get votes when you have Democrats that don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. They don't want to do anything about men playing in women's sports. That's one of the items we put on, you know. And I did that just because it's so popular. You know, they say that's at least an 80-20 issue. No, it's about a 99-1. I don't think it's, what do you think, Pete? Do you think it's 80-20? Who's closer, 80-20 or 99-1?
Almost 100.
Yeah, I think 100 is really the, so, you know, so I support that, and I support common sense.
Would you be comfortable with a deal that involves separating ICE funding from the DHS funding package in order to reopen?
Well, they're working on all of that. You know, that's a detail that they'll explain later. Please.
Election integrity and DHS measures. Mr. President, since CISA falls under DHS, and given that many credible voices have raised concerns over its premature and possibly likely faulty 2020 election assessment, will you and Secretary Mullen implement reforms at CISA and at DHS to ensure full confidence in future elections, like in the upcoming?
About it. We'll talk about it. You know, pros and cons. Look, they used it to try and put me in prison, right? So I can't be thrilled with it. They used that very strongly, very illegally. The Democrats are thugs, and I don't want to say that. It would be nice to everyone get along, but it's a different country than it was years ago. It was very dangerous the way they used it. And they weaponized government. They used that to weaponize government. So I'm not thrilled, but I'll also go along with two groups of people, the military, and I think the military likes it, right? And I'll go along with the senators. I'm fine. But I was a big victim of it. Yeah, please.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out, and now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. They're pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing that's doing well? You know, if you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran, the city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think Was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something that happened?
The fact that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
Your
weapon?
former Border Patrol chief, Greg Bovino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol chief. He just retired.
Well, I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed. From prisons all over the world, they came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people, really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people. And many are self-deporting because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting, Tom, going back. I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
What's your message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck at airports? It's really devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
Your message to Americans right now stuck at airports as we speak because Democrats won't
Well,
fund
they
DHS?
just don't, they won't. Look, this is a deal that was done in the Great Big Beautiful Deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you buy a car, you take money, you pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars, if it's an American car, only if it's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr. But they don't vote. Rand Paul, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement. But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy. Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy that you can imagine. And so whether they stick together or not, they have just this terrible policy. We have great policy. Republicans have great policy. We have common sense policy, but it's great policy. That's our biggest advantage, is our policy is correct. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah, a little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means. 101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down, and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea. Pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting are the coolest cucumbers ever. You know, most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this, are not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here. And amazing to watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, you know, because these were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people choke. They don't choke. These guys don't choke. They're the best in the world. We have the best in the world, yeah.
Mr. President, what would be your message today to the TSA agents who have been staying home in recent days amid this impasse?
Well, some of them are needing money, you know, because the Democrats cut off their money. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them, you know, they didn't get paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem. In fact, I actually said to the Senate, why would you say this is a Democrat problem? I think the polls are showing it's a Democrat problem. And they'll do anything actually to hurt our country so they can try and win the midterms. And if we ever went back to our old policies, we wouldn't have a country left.
If they get a deal, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, to fund all but enforcement operations of ICE, to get those TSA agents repaid and to open up the rest of the department, would you sign that?
Well, I don't want to comment until I see the deal, but as you know, they're negotiating a deal. I guess they're getting fairly close, but I think any deal they make, I'm pretty much not happy with it. These guys came in, they wouldn't pay people. You know, they had a deal to pay. They had to break their deal. The Democrats broke the deal that we had. It was all done. Everything was fine. And then they just said, well, we're not going to pay anymore. And they hurt our country. And at a very difficult time because, you know, we are at, as they would say, a war. They call it a war. I call it a military operation, a very successful one, successful like nobody's ever seen before. Hey, Venezuela was equally as successful. That was a great thing. No, the Democrats had a deal. It was a done deal. And then they said, well, we're not going to pay. And so a lot of people suffered over that and put our country in danger. You have another question? You haven't been here in a while.
Well, on Iran, can you give us any more sense of who exactly in Iran it is either Witkoff, Kushner, and others are speaking with?
Yeah, we had, I hate to say this in front of these young people. They're not children. I spoke to most of them. They sound like adults to me, even though they are sort of children, right? They'll always be your children. But I hate to say it, but we killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out. We have really regime change. You know, this is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with that created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust. But I don't trust anyone. Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related, and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you know, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone. as the expression goes, the past Supreme Leader. And then the new Supreme Leader was racked up, at a minimum racked up pretty good, and everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone, but we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out, and the present, the gift they made to us was very significant, and they said they were going to do it, and it happened, and they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the strait, yeah, it was.
Are you negotiating on who's going to control the strait from now on?
No, we'll have control of anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, you know. But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list, but again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons. They're not going to have, and they're not going to have enrichment, any of those things. But look, I hate to say that we're in a very good bargaining position, and I hate to say that they're defenseless because, you know, until that last missile is fired, they have little power. But we are in about the best bargaining position. We're way ahead of schedule. And again, they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no missile protection, and most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launchers we've killed. You know, we've killed about 82% of their launchers. So even if they had a missile, they can't launch it. We've been very effective. We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody even comes close. We have the best military equipment in the world. Go ahead.
On Saudi Arabia, there's been some reporting that you've been talking to the Crown Prince. Have you been focused on normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel?
Well, no, we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. What do you hear with Saudi Arabia?
Just hearing that you've been talking and that he has been encouraging you to do certain things related to Iran. Can you share?
Well, he's a warrior. He does, yeah, he's a warrior. He's fighting with us, by the way. Saudi Arabia has been excellent, and UAE, excellent. And I will tell you, Qatar, incredible. Qatar took a hit, a pretty bad hit. Qatar is very close, you know, they're essentially, you can walk right over the border. Qatar took a hit. They've been great. They've been very strong. Kuwait, they had a little mishap. They shot down 3 planes with our missiles. They happened to be our planes, but the pilots made it. Can you imagine the pilots making it? The pilots saw what was coming, and they said, those are Patriots. We're not going to escape Patriots, and they got out of there pretty quick, Pete, right? Pretty amazing that they got out. The 3 pilots lived. They're fine. In fact, they're flying today.
Was the Kuwaitis that accidentally fired the missile?
Yeah, the Kuwaitis made a mistake. They fired. They thought they were firing at the enemy. It was, as the expression goes, friendly fire. But the pilots are great. They're flying today. Pretty amazing when you think of it. Yeah.
President Trump, on a human level, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out? Like as a human, as
on what?
On a human level, not as the President of the United States. How hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. You know, I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated. You know, we killed their Navy in, would you say 3 days, Pete? Gone. In fact, I was a little upset with Pete. I said, why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He said, it's more fun shooting them down. But the Navy was wiped out in a very rapid order. Pretty impressive for you guys, you champion wrestlers, right? When you hear this stuff. But you don't, if you read the news, you don't hear this. You know, you read like, oh, they're doing wonderfully. They're doing terribly. They're wiped out militarily. They are dead. Yeah.
Is there a new sense of a timeline? Do you want to get something done before the midterms?
Well, we'd like to see President Putin and President Zelensky sit down and make a deal. I think they're getting close, but I've been saying that for a while. I've settled 8 wars. All of them should have been more difficult than this one. This should have been the easiest one. But these are two people that truly hate each other. You'll find out that hatred is not good for making deals. These are people that they don't like each other very much. Yeah.
I know you said there's a bunch of people from the administration who are negotiating with Iran. There's been reports that the vice president is leading those negotiations. Is that true?
Well, he's involved in them. JD is involved, and Marco's involved, and Jared Kushner's involved, very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved. And I'm involved. I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the president of the United States, Tom, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk. They were right there. I don't know why. But if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration said, no, we obliterated it, just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel. And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war. How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job, Mark White? Can we take some of your time?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern navy, a modern air force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated, from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great job. Mr. President, you know, the only two people that were quite disappointed, I don't want to say this, but I have to. I said, Pete and General Raisin Kane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled. It's these guys are doing a great job. That's a good attitude, though, Tom, right? They were not interested in settlement. They were interested in just winning this thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you, just taking things locally, hopefully not throwing international affairs for a second, do you support the construction of the Second Avenue subway in New York City, and will your administration?
Wow, that's really a far out question. You know, the Second Avenue subway has been under construction for, you're a young guy, is longer than you are old, okay? That's been under construction. I haven't heard about the Second Avenue subway in 20 years. What the hell kind of a question is that? I guess they got to get it finished. They spent trillions of dollars practically. No, they spent more money on that than on anything, I think, in the history of our city, in New York City. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's very sad, actually. The only thing maybe worse was Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, his train, I call it his train wreck because it's a wreck. That's been years. It's literally 30 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it doesn't go to San Francisco and Los Angeles like it was supposed to. They decided to cut it way short because there was no way they could finish it. But it's one of the worst. I've never seen anything like it. Other than the worst, the Federal Reserve building for almost $4 billion, little building that's going to cost a renovation for $4 billion, headed by our highly incompetent head of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, would you be open, are you hoping to see the Senate pursue Reconciliation 2.0 to fund ICE and pass the Save America Act?
Well, we'll see about reconciliation. We're certainly talking about reconciliation, I think, Mark Wayne, right? Do you want to talk about that for a second? Now that he's working, we can get him to do this.
Thank you. Lindsey Graham, the chairman where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly importantly the Save America Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way. And I believe that everybody wants an election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation, he's willing to put the framework out for that.
And I think that was said so beautifully, so concisely, so well, your father, that we should let him have the last word, and that was it. That was the last word. Did he do a good job? Are you impressed with your father?
I've never been more impressed with anybody in my life.
How about me? Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. No, you like your father better, okay? Come here. Look at this guy. Come here. This guy, don't wrestle him. We'll steal over here. All right. I want to thank the family because without the family, he's not here. You know, he's a different person. And that goes especially for Mom, who looks like she's about 22 years old. I don't know. I see these kids, but she looks very young. But it's a great couple. Congratulations to you both. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thanks. Come on in.
All right, there you go. The president taking questions after participating in that swearing-in ceremony of Oklahoma's Mark Wayne Mullen as the new Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. He had the job for about 25 minutes and already taking questions from the press there in regards to the Save America Act. Also speaking, as you saw, Pete Hegseth, the War Department Secretary, delivering a brief statement on Operation Epic Fury. Before we get to a live phone call with Silk of Diamond and Silk for all things Washington, a reaction about the Save America Act and DHS funding issue that we're seeing with the long lines at the airports, let's go to a couple of our sponsors, including mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, more than 2,000 products available on there for you with mypillow.com/RSBN. There's the Mega Sale 2.0 and free shipping on top of that. So a lot of great opportunities right there for you to get some great products, great pricing, and of course supporting Right Side Broadcasting Network and Mike Lindell, of course, running for governor in Minnesota as well. So great products at mypillow.com/RSBN. If you'd like to donate to the network, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. Joining us in just a minute on the phone with reaction for all things Washington will be Silk of Diamond and Silk. And again, we've been talking about Save America Act for a while now. And if you heard at the beginning of that press conference, President Trump getting asked a question about the Save America Act as well, but the person said the SAVE Act, and the president had to correct the reporter. It's the Save America Act. As we know, a very important piece of legislation, hopeful law. Hopefully we don't have to use the word act again with that, and it's the Save America law. Also, the DHS funding issue. We'll have Silk join us right now as it's 2:55, Tuesday, March 24th. I believe she's on the line, guys. All right, can we switch over on programming? All right, so here's Silk with us. Thanks so much for joining us. What are your thoughts about hearing from the president there in the Oval Office, and also about the Save America Act?
Well, my first thoughts is I love President Donald J. Trump. I love that he is a man of his word, and I love that he's a family guy. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to make people just really feel comfortable. I'm glad of the swearing in of the new Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullins, and he's going to do a phenomenal job. It's time, really, truly time right now to save America. We got to do it right now. If not, we're going to be lost forever. If the Democrats gain power again, there will be no country. There will be no America. So it's time to pass the Save America Act right now. And I love how President Trump, he also want to tie in when it comes down to the funding for DHS. Tie it all in together, because this is about saving America and protecting America. Okay, if we don't protect America, we won't have no America. So that's my thoughts, my first thoughts when I think of President Trump and everything that he just basically said. We have to save America, and this is the way that we do it, by passing the Save America Act.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty common sense stuff, isn't it? It's showing a photo ID and also proof of citizenship. You know, so who would have thunk it, as they say? United States citizens voting in United States elections. I mean, come on now. Why are we even debating this?
Come on, that's right. You know, why do we have to even have an act to save America? Just think about that. You know, we already have laws that's on the books, even though it's been subverted and broken by a lot of these radical Democrats and deep state Republicans. They've broken the laws, they've broken the rules, they've changed the rules, they've changed the laws illegally, and then they've been doing it wrong for so long that they think that is right. So now we got to bring on this act, because things got to get back into perspective. It got to get back to where it used to be, where we was protected. How is it that we have a group of people sitting there trying to hold America hostage because they want to get their way and protect their illegal aliens, which is really truly their voting bloc? But, you know, I don't even know if you are aware of this, Matt, but since the border has been closed, they've basically been using the airports to bring in illegal aliens illegally through the airports, through the international travels. And my deal is, now that President Trump has basically checkmate these crazy lunatics, Democrats, with ICE being there at the airports, that's a good thing. ICE don't just need to be at the airports. They need to be at the bus station. They need to be at the train stations. They need to be at anywhere there is any type of travel or international travel in and out of this country to protect America. And once again, it's a sad day that we have a group of people that want to hold us hostage. They don't care about protecting America or Americans. They only care about protecting their illegal aliens. Just think about it. You know, if this was a bill to give money for illegal aliens causes, they would jump on it. like there's no tomorrow. But because this bill is for saving America, or it has something to do with protecting America, they want to play ping pong back and forth. And I love how President Trump basically said, no more games, no more games. We're tired of playing all of these doggone games. If you look at Leader Thune, you know, they're talking about, oh, we're in the middle of negotiating. Hell, no more negotiating. Look, it's all or nothing. We want everything funded. Under Jim Crow Joe Biden, did they nitpick as to what they was going to fund? Nope. They gave that mofo everything that he wanted, and he destroyed this country. We want everything funded. It's American tax dollars across the board. And that's what the American people want. We want the doggone Coast Guard funded. We want the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol funded. We want Immigration and Customs funded. We want FEMA funded, the U.S. Secret Service, the U.S. Secret Service, we want that funded, the Immigration Service, cybersecurity, infrastructure security agencies. We want all of our agencies that's going to protect America funded, and we want it funded right now. There shouldn't be no negotiation like you give me this, I give you that. Stop negotiating with American lives. Stop holding us hostage and using us as the ball between the tennis racket. No, we're tired of playing those doggone games. If this is America tax dollars and it's for America and American citizens, it shouldn't be no questions asked. It's a doggone shame that as Republicans, we have the House, we have the Senate, and we can't get nothing done there as it pertains to Americans. That is a doggone shame. So this needs to be funded. It needs to be passed. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about, still talking about saving America. And we need to save America also from these lunatic Democrats as well, because these people are crazy. When you look there in the Senate, when you look there in the Congress, we have foreign-born individuals that's up there calling themselves running our country. They don't give a doggone about America or American citizens. They only care about their foreigners. Then they need to go back to their own foreign land and leave America alone so that we can continue to run as American citizens, keep our values here as American citizens and as America.
Looking forward to calling it the Save America Law instead of the Save America Act. Before I let you go, Silk, I agree with everything you just said. I'm sure people that are watching, whether live or on replay, are saying amen to what you're saying. But did you say, correct me if I'm wrong, the phrase that they're doing something wrong for so long that they think that it's right? That's a great, I've never heard that before.
You can use it, baby. You can use it. That's right. They've been doing it wrong. Just look at it. Just like even down to illegal aliens, they want to call them migrants or immigrants. No. These people are illegal aliens. The law calls these people aliens. And I'm glad to start to see President Trump and a lot more others use that word. Aliens. These people, we don't know who they are. They came into our country illegally. And for the individuals that say, oh no, they're just going to go after the criminals, darn that. They committed their first crime when they crossed that border illegally. So they've been doing it wrong for so long that they think that it is right. When it comes down to these mail-in ballots, allowing illegal aliens to vote into our electoral process, they've been doing it wrong for so long that they think that it's right. So now that we're uprooting the fraud, we are exposing the corruption. That's why you see them running around here like rats caught in a trap or something. Let me tell you something. When it comes down to ICE, Democrats are afraid of ICE. I bet you when they go to a restaurant, they ask for a drink with no ice. They're just that afraid of ICE. If it was me and I was the president of these United States of America, ICE would be everywhere. And here's another thought too, just to ponder on. All of the TSA officials or agents or workers that's there and they're not getting paid, since ICE is still getting paid, just hire them as ICE agents. That's what you do. Hire TSA as ICE agents, pay them and let them be right there since they know the job. They know the job. That's all you got to do is hire them as ICE agents and then give them that extra credentials where they got the ID, you illegal. Then what you do is you turn around and you deport these individuals that's illegal. Send them back on the same plane that they came in on. Just turn that plane right back around and send it back to their foreign country. And then guess what? the problem will be solved. While they still sitting there in the Senate, going back and forth, and they won't remove the filibuster to get nothing done. Hey, just send in ICE. That's all you got to do. Take a bucket of ICE and throw it right up on the Democrats. They will melt just like the Wicked Witch of the East, the North, the South, the East, and the West. All of them would just basically just go down and just be, they would have that Trump derangement syndrome like cuckoo, like crazy. But guess what? We have a president that is looking out for the will of the people. And I'm so grateful for President Trump for doing just that. I'm grateful that he's not playing no checkers. He's playing 3D, 4D chess. And he's got a checkmate right up on the Democrat Party and these deep state snake, rhino, grand old party Republicans. And I'm grateful for that.
And he so rightly coined the Save America Act, not just the SAVE Act, the Save America Act. We want to see transparency. We want to see accountability. We want free and fair elections, law and order. This is what we, the people, want, Silk. You know what, Silk, with what you were saying about the TSA agents being hired over as ICE agents and they'll get paid right away, and there you go. Yep. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me too. It sounds like you're on Capitol Hill before Congress already pitching some ideas. Maybe that's something you should be doing soon. Silk, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to check out Silk's show. And thanks so much for checking out our show here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Silk, we love you. We'll talk to you later. And everybody else, thanks so much for watching.